Welcome to Liquid Lunch. We're coming at you live. It's the 18th of December, 3 days left.
I was just counting, 18, 19, 20, 21. 3 days.
Right.
Wow. You know what?
What?
I am seeing so many 11-11s and 22s. It's freaking me out again.
But what does that mean?
Oh, it's just transition. It's transition. I can't get away from it though. This happened to me when I first started to have my awakening. This happened to me years ago. So much so, I saw 11-11 everywhere. So much so, I didn't know anything about what 11-11 meant at the time. And I had not awakened. I had not gone through that whole awakening stage. And so I started to see this everywhere to the point where I thought I was going crazy. So I actually Googled, thank God for Google, and I actually Googled what 11-11 meant, and then this whole world opened up. Everybody was experiencing 11-11, and then it's died down for a while, and now it's like in my face again. So it's got to be something to do with the shift. Are you not experiencing that?
No.
Oh, you will. Maybe.
But here's what happened. I got a text from Erin.
Okay.
I mean,
Ravel, who's in Jamaica.
Yep. And she on 12/12/12/12, which was just last week, she saw an object move in front of the moon. And apparently it's still there.
She saw an object move in front of the moon.
And it's still there. So we have to look at the moon. As soon as these clouds go away, we can see what the object is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Do you notice, Hugh, that it's darker at nighttime? I'm noticing it seems to be darker this time of year. Like, yes, okay, it gets dark early, but it just seems to be, when it's dark, it is like black. It is darker than it was last year.
It seems to me that it is getting darker earlier.
But not just that it's darker earlier, but when it's dark, it is pitch dark. Like last year, it's dark, right? It seems like it's darker than dark. Unless the street lamps are not as light as they used to be, but it seems like it's darker to drive in, darker to do anything. It just seems like it's pitch black out there.
Is it an Egyptian darkness?
I don't know what an Egyptian darkness is. But I'm going to say yes.
Nobody knows what an Egyptian darkness is. That's one
Maybe
of the problems.
Maybe it's the black hole.
There's so much we could talk about today.
Well, there's so much we're going to talk about today. We're, it's a little bit disappointing because our wonderful, wonderful friend Franco's not here today.
Yeah, that's right.
We were going to do a show called Crossing the Threshold, Part 2, but that's okay because we're going to do Crossing the Threshold with some other amazing guests, and we'll see Jeff again next year.
And we should get busy. We're going to have a great show today. We're going to have some great conversations because we have Tamara Penn here and Frida Kemp coming on, talking about the World Healing event that's coming up at the end of the month, the end of the year.
December 31st. Wow.
Jeff Free West is going to be coming on. Now he's all about, Jeff, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but disclosure, which is imminent.
And we have to talk about, I'm going to ask Jeff if he knows anything about this, Keenan, somebody by the name of something Keenan. Neil Keenan. Do you know anything about him, Jeff?
Some.
Okay.
So
Because that's all about the money. It's all about the money.
Oh, yeah?
He knows all about the money, right?
Okay.
What's happening with the money?
He's one of the alleged sources of money.
Oh,
Yeah, and he said he might have some information before Christmas.
Oh, here's
Did
what
you
I
know that?
heard too, because disclosure and the aliens and all that. Apparently, there's a whole fleet of alien spacecraft headed this way, and they've got these giant spaceships filled with cash.
Oh, did you say filled with cats?
No
She said,
cash.
I thought you meant cats. I'm like, no, we don't need any more cats on the planet.
No kidding.
We have an overpopulation.
No, don't worry about it. You can go down to the Humane Society and build them shelters. So anyway, they're going to solve the world's debt problems because they're just going to beam all the cash down, and that should solve it. Solve the
That would
problem.
be nice.
I know.
It's going to be like, raining cash. As long as it's not raining the loonies and the toonies, because that could hurt.
That could hurt.
That could hurt.
Okay. Also, Jeff Fisher is coming on now. Jeff
Is an amazing, amazing guy.
This is I think it's going to be like Jeff's debut. This is the first of many.
Yeah, he started to get out there and talk and stuff, but I think this is the first one on air, right, Jeff? Yeah. So this is going to be an amazing experience.
And also Hildegard will be coming on the show. Hildegard Miner. And Hugo.
Okay, Hildegard, I just met today, and oh my God, she has an amazing story, and I can't wait to hear it.
Yes. And it's so weird because anyways, forget that. Okay. So let's play a little video. We'll come back with Tamara and Frida, but I have some video about a time traveler. Apparently, you know, people have been traveling in time. Once you travel in time, even if it's in the future, you can always go back. So time travel always exists, because even if you don't know how to travel in time today, the people from the future do.
Okay, so wait a second. If we go to 5D, where there is no time, how does that work?
I don't know. Well, we don't know if there's no time or not.
I think he's stumped.
Okay, but let's watch this, because
Let's ask Tamara, because Tamara. I'm sorry, I pronounced the name wrong.
Yeah.
It's Tamara.
Tamara.
Let's ask Tamara.
All right.
It sounds like I'm saying tomorrow.
That's what I said in the email. Okay, so let's watch this. The time traveler from the future was in an old film. This is proof that time travel exists in the future. And we'll be back with Tamara and Frida as Liquid Lunch gets underway. The last Liquid Lunch of the age.
Wow.
And of the year. So we'll be right back.
Wow.
And cover, and do it fast. Here are some older boys showing what to do if the flash comes when you are not in the classroom. This is what to do if you should be in a corridor. You duck and cover.
What, when he puts his hand in? Well, it obviously survived. It's still attached. Listen, you guys.
I hope it works, but it
I
could
wish-
also be special effects.
Okay, we're back here on the show, and we've got Tamara Penn and Frida Kemp joining us here. And Tamara, it's always great to have you on the show. And here we are, the last show of the age.
Oh my God, I'm so honored. Thank you.
Of the age.
Of the age.
Of the age.
Because we're
well
going
stated,
into,
yes.
are we going into the Aquarian age?
We're already in it.
We're
It doesn't
already-
happen overnight, you know that. I mean, we've been easing into it, and there are some peaks and some lows. Frida knows a lot more about all of this than I do, so go on, Frida.
Yeah,
you
Frida.
talk about what this is all about. Come on.
Well, technically, we won't be fully into the Aquarian age till 2117. So that phasing in period is Piscean age phasing out and Aquarian age phasing in. So that's why we have so much conflict in our world, because we've got this old pattern colliding with this new approach and new way of living. And we, you know, I don't know if people have heard of the rays, but if we look at it from a rayological perspective, we have the sixth ray, which is a ray of devotion, waning, and we have the seventh ray, which is a ray of ceremonial order, and we would call it magic, because what's going to happen in the new age will appear magical to us, coming in. So it is this crossover period, and it takes quite a long time.
Is the seventh, how many rays are they?
Seven
Oh,
rays,
so we're at the top.
We're
We'll be
the
going
seventh.
into the top.
Yeah,
Right.
and certain rays are in manifestation at a certain point of time, and certain aren't. For example, the fifth ray is in a long, long, long cycle right now. So that's fifth ray is the ray of science and concrete knowledge. So that's why we have so much scientific development, and why people are so rational in their approach and don't like to see beyond the kind of rational.
What's the fourth ray?
And the fourth ray is harmony through conflict, and
How
we
do
have
you
some
get
of that as well.
How do you get harmony?
How many do you come to? And the color is most appropriate. The color for the fourth ray is green.
Nobody sees the green right now, Tamara.
Oh, too
It's
bad.
magic and science working together.
It's the
It's the fifth ray, the long cycle.
Four.
So wait a second, question.
Sure.
As we move it from fourth to fifth to sixth to seventh ray, do they all envelop each other, or do we
No,
do we
it's-
exchange one for the other?
It's more
Transition.
complicated than that. We just have some in manifestations, and they're on long cyclic periods.
Okay, like
So-
like the fifth, like you were talking about the fifth.
Yeah,
of science.
so that is kind of an overarching. That's going to stay for quite some time.
Even though we're on the seventh.
Well, it's not one or the other.
Okay,
There can be
that's-
multiple rays in manifestation
Got
at any
it.
one time. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Now, does this have to do with vibration?
It
Everything's
does.
vibrant.
So if we think of vibration, we have the 1, the 3, the 7, and the 12, right? The one life. And so divine energy breaks itself down into 3 different energies. We would call this Father, Son, Holy Ghost if we were in the Christian path. We would
Okay.
call this will, love, and intelligence if we wanted to put more modern words to it. So
Okay.
that breaks the 3. And then those 3 from the third ray breaks down into another 4. And so we have harmony through conflict, we have concrete knowledge, devotion, and ceremonial order and magic. So that's kind of how the rays, and of course we see that in the rainbow, don't we? We see one color breaking out into 7 colors.
That's right.
Yes.
And also the 7 chakras.
7 chakras, 7 notes of music, 7 planes, you name it. So life works through the law of correspondence, the higher and the lower. So we see what manifests is the phrase, as above, so below. So we can see these reflections in how our constitution and how our world is made up, and we can use that to infer how the divine world functions.
So, okay, so the question begs to be asked, how does that
Effect.
how does that affect our reality now? How can we make that real now?
Real?
This is
Well, I
the
think,
question.
you know, the thing is, man, know thyself. So it's up to us to learn more about our world. And things that are in the divine world won't appear as, quote, magic if we can understand and develop that cognitive way of relating to the planes of existence that exist
How do you do
beyond the
that,
physical.
Frida?
Meditation has been led as the #1 way of accessing your higher faculties, your intuitive faculty, all the divine parts of your being, your soul. We use different terminology in ways. People call it the Christ self, the higher self. There's different terms for it. But it's through meditation and the practice of meditation that we are able to access that higher realm, if you will, and that higher aspects of ourselves.
Now, is that what you guys are doing on the 27th
We're
this
meditating. We're meditating so many times. So the 21st, which is the solstice. We're having a peace ceremony. That's at the Children's Peace Theatre. And we're going to be doing a full, what's called peace ceremony. We're going to declare for peace for all the nations of the world. We take a flag and we say, may peace prevail in Angola, may peace prevail in Albania, and then we plant it on a tree and we create a peace tree. It's
Wow,
really
That's really lovely. It's a
beautiful
lovely ceremony, and we involve the children. The children need, it comes up from there. The children need to get this idea that peace is possible, that peace is always available now. And by participating, we put the seed thought into their minds that they will work for peace, they will pray for peace. They will see peace as somewhere where they would like to live and be.
Is this part of what you believe we're moving into in the next
The
phase
age of peace.
or new age?
Absolutely.
Is that what that is? Peace on earth?
Peace on earth, yes.
That's
and
right.
so we know that energy follows thought, and when a group of people collectively declare for peace or for any sort of spiritual principle, their power is multiplied by the fact that they're working together in a group and they have focused thought. And that is the most powerful and potent way of manifesting the type of world that we'd like to create in 2013 and beyond.
Frida, talk about the special festival between the 21st.
So right now there is what we'll call a subjective festival. It's called the Festival of the New Group of World Servers, or we could just shorten it to the Festival of World Servers. So that's everybody who is working for a better world, whether consciously or unconsciously. And so we can think that all those people are connected subjectively into one body, and that is going to be energized through this festival period. Begins, of course, with a very potent solstice on the 21st and ends on the full moon of Capricorn, which is the 28th. So it's, if you're a meditator, if you want to connect, that's a really, really important time to do it.
So
Extra special.
Do people go somewhere for this?
You
or
don't have to
do
go.
this at home?
There's groups that are working on this online.
Okay.
And if you're interested, just search under that word, Festival of the New Group of World Servers, and you'll see a couple of websites that'll come up that'll direct you to activities that are going on. They're all webinar type activities and meditations. And groups, of course, are physically meeting and doing sorts of meditations. But
Wow, sounds awesome.
And if you
really good.
can't join a group, then be on your own. Or if you get one other person where two or more are gathered, the energy is very much higher. I mean, it's a very simple principle, but it works. You don't have to be anywhere, but it's always intensified when you're in a larger group.
And they've proven this, right? Remember there was a study
Absolutely.
done in Washington, D.C. or something?
Yeah.
They
Fair
prayed,
thanks.
a group of people.
That's right.
did
And
that.
it changed. There
Crime.
was less crime. There was.
It was
just
directly correlated to the meditation. Apparently, the more people meditated, the less the crime went down.
That's
Apparently,
right.
there's a direct
Yes,
correlation.
exactly.
Right.
And they had a crime-free day in New York City in November. Did you hear about that?
This
no,
year?
I didn't hear about
This
that.
year, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
No violent crime whatsoever.
Did they relate that to meditation
Well,
or just
they-
so? Or maybe a cumulative meditation.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
just the
But you know what? I mean, the point here is that Peace the 21st has been going for many, many years. Peace the 21st is the 21st of March, of June, of September, and December. And so much so that Stephen Ginsberg, who started this Peace the 21st meditation, went to the United Nations, and the United Nations declared that September the 21st is International Peace Day, my birthday.
wow.
So, yeah, it's very. You said something to me once about, look.
It's hardly a coincidence tomorrow.
That's
Oh,
right.
well, harmony
That's
through
it.
conflict is my ray. Hello. Anyway, so 4 times a year on the solstices and on the equinoxes is when people gather. And there are people all over the world. It started in Toronto, but it's all over the world now. There's an increased awareness that, do something. Don't just think about it. Think about it and then manifest it.
Before we came on air,
Yeah.
we were talking a little bit about Gaia and going through the earth labor pangs or labor
yes.
pains. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, sure. Well, I'm a rebirther, a breath
Yes.
coach. And you said, oh, you know, you experience such pain and the other people are experiencing pain in the shift.
Yes.
And it's the same as during labor. There are women who have trained themselves to use the energy of a contraction of childbirth to assist the childbirth, to be calm, to be breathing, to allow the contraction, and the baby knows what to do. And if you are relaxed enough to allow that baby to do what it needs to do, the birth is simpler. You know, it's simpler. It's hard to relax when you could be in pain. Pain comes from resistance.
So you're saying if you do relax, you won't feel the pain?
If you do relax, your body will start to feel safe.
Okay.
Your body doesn't relax when it doesn't feel safe.
Okay.
And the key to the work that I do is to have people feel safe, relaxed, safe, and breathe. The rest, takes care of itself. It's lovely. It's a beautiful process.
But does it mean it'll be less painful? Like, will you still
There's no
experience the
guarantee.
pain?
Depends on how much you're willing to relax.
Okay. Okay.
Depends on how much you're willing to cooperate with the movement. Okay. When fear is there, there's tension. So you have to see what your worst fear is that would prevent you from participating in the contractions of the shift, whatever that may be. Okay? And as Frida says, you know, meditation is one of the most powerful tools, and of course breathing. You know, that's why a lot of people have started coming now, because they're feeling something and they don't quite know what to do with it. Once you learn how to work with energy cycles, you can do it for yourself. But coaching helps.
I just want to say something. I was listening to a thing by Bashar. You know
Oh,
Bashar.
yes, I remember Bashar, yes.
And he was talking about, that's one of the things about health, to be healthy, right? Breathing is so important. We don't even, a lot of times we don't think about it, right?
No.
Food, of course, you know, like you got to eat good food, you got to drink water. These are common sense things, but breathing is number one.
You know, you can live without food for quite a while. You can live without water for quite a while. But how long can you live without breathing?
4 minutes.
A minute and a half.
That's it.
Well, I don't know.
You can increase
Not
that.
too long.
You know,
I know. You have to
some
practice,
of the
though.
special yogis do it for ages and ages anyway. That's
Yeah, you know what? I think breathing, a lot of us don't even breathe properly.
well, most people say to me, you know, I'm a shallow breather. It's like each person that comes to breathe thinks that they're the only ones that are shallow breathers. Most people are shallow breathers. And you learn to create more space in your lungs when you do energy cycles. It feels safer to have more air, more breath there. Let's go back to
meditations?
December the 31st, because I think that's also, you know, everybody's saying, well, you know, if we survive, okay, if we're still there.
We'll still be here on December 31st.
Go on.
Really?
Absolutely.
And please come in the morning. It's very, very early in the
Because we
morning.
may not be around in the afternoon.
6:30
No, wait a
in the
minute,
morning.
6:30 in the morning.
And why is
on-
it so early? It's timed with noon Greenwich Mean Time. So we're all meditating.
Around the world, it's synchronized. So there's one synchronized group around the world at a specific time.
So I was saying this is probably one of the very first meditations that attempted to do this. This has been going since, I think, 1985. And it's 1986. So it was one of those original meditations that was really trying to get people to meditate all at the same time. And as I mentioned, I think that was pre-internet days when this first started.
Wow.
So the amount of effort and coordination to get people meditating at noon Greenwich Mean Time was quite significant. So it's evolved since then. We've been doing it. As you can see, this is our 27th year doing the meditation. We always do it at the St. Lawrence Hall, which is a very beautiful place.
Beautiful.
If you've never been there, it's just a gorgeous room with a fabulous gas chandelier in it, so you really feel connected to one of the founding buildings for the city of Toronto. And really in that moment we have usually a fairly good group of people who get up at that early hour, and we
We've
come
had as
and
many as 800.
we meditate.
Wow.
And
That's amazing.
we've kind of set the tone for the year. So we're offering, our blessings for the earth, our healing energies for the earth, but we're just individually and collectively setting the tone for the upcoming year.
You know what I think is good, just for people that might be a little skeptical out there, that might think, oh, that's a little too early to go, but it's a Saturday, right?
It's a
No, it's a
Monday.
Monday. It's a Monday.
Monday. I know. I
wait,
said it.
On the ad
It
it
says Saturday on here.
That was last
Yeah,
year.
but
Unfortunately, it's Monday.
Just a second. Just a second.
Okay, forget it then.
But you can come before work, right?
Monday.
Monday. And be careful.
Most people
with-
aren't going
It's
to
a
be
holiday
working
anyway, right?
Monday, December 31st.
Yeah.
Most
Well,
people
we
are
never
probably
know.
going to
And
take
it's
that
right
out.
near the St. Lawrence Market.
That's what I'm saying tomorrow.
Yeah. Is that what you
at
said?
8 o'clock when it ends, people can go out there and get all their
And we'll have some
Exactly.
good,
coffee
good
and their
Starbucks coffee.
all
I
that
always go
stuff.
and buy a lobster or two afterwards for my New Year's dinner at
And you know
the
the
market.
lobsters are cheap this year,
They
Frida.
are, yes. I've already.
they?
My husband's
There's a
already had
lobster
one.
glut in the Maritimes.
Cal, I'm looking forward to when we can just instantly synthetically create that stuff.
Well, we're getting there. We're getting there.
don't
We
really-
really are, you
Because
know.
you know, guys, lobsters are sentient beings.
They are.
all
They
things.
feel and they suffer. So
They
if we
do.
want to spread peace, it's not so peaceful
They
for the
do.
lobster.
I'm actually a vegetarian now. I buy it for my husband.
Oh, right. Years
Trying to get off the
Comes
hook.
out.
years ago when I was a vegetarian, vegan, what I did was, is that your microphone?
Don't worry about it tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll fix it.
I used to say to my kids, you never eat anything that has eyes or had a mother. Okay.
You know, yeah, and I think that's wonderful. For me, what I do is what I put on my plate or on my table is something I could do if I had to. Okay, I know I don't know how to grow soybeans, but I could learn that and be okay with it. But I could not go kill an animal. I could not do so. So for me, I have to be able to make sure I'm okay with whatever I put on my plate, that I can make it if I absolutely had to. That's my
Whatever
kind of
you
rule.
put on your plate, you bless, no matter
Absolutely.
what.
Yeah.
With gratitude, it shifts the it shifts
That's
the
right.
vibration.
That's totally
You know,
true.
we've done the experiments where you have an organic lettuce and a rubbish lettuce, just grown with chemicals and everything else, and they've measured the vibration. And then they've seen that the organic one has a higher vibration. Now, pray on the one that is not organic, and it increases the vibration. But if you have an organic one and you pray on it, it's even higher.
Wow.
So there you go. It's really
The
important
intention.
to be aware
Yeah.
and conscious of what you take in.
That's right.
Yes.
Now tomorrow, I know you have one of these Kangen water machines, right?
No, I don't.
I stand corrected again. Okay, well, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do have a water purifier though,
Okay.
like 7 or 8 systems.
Okay.
What
and-
about?
But anyway, somebody I know has one of those,
Reuben.
which is cost like $5,000.
Yeah.
And except now they're saying they don't really need the machine. They just have to bless the water, right? And
Look
it
at
does the
Emoto,
same.
Miss
Exactly.
Mary.
Yes,
Emoto.
that's a
I
really
mean,
good point. That doctor, right?
You know, I went to give a presentation at the Global Inspiration Conference 10 years ago or something. And I took one of the essences that I get from Living Light Essences in Guelph. It's a Canadian essence company that works with the 7 rays. And I said to her, how am I going to explain this? I said, when I speak about flower essences, I know what holly is, I know what agrimony is, and I can explain it and I can show the image. What can I show with this? Because it's vibrational. And she said, show Emoto's images. And she says, that'll get the thought across. And it went over very well.
Wow.
Yeah, people really got it.
So for anybody who doesn't know, look at Messages from Water, right? It's the book
Messages
called
from
Messages
Water,
from
that's
Water.
right.
Very much
And
so.
again, even if you don't look at messages from the water, just center yourself, as with anything. You can put your hands on if you feel like doing something, or put your hands like this, or your hands like this, and connect with it, and shift the frequency. It'll resonate much better with your system, and there'll be a peaceful kind of vibration in you. You'll see people who connect with their whatever they're doing. There's an element of more peacefulness.
There's a really easy way to get to that place of peace. Adopt a kitty.
I don't
Very
have to
good.
adopt. She adopted me.
See, even that, because you have a cat on your lap purring and you're petting that cat, there's nothing more peaceful or brings you to that moment of bliss and joy.
That's true.
I still want to talk about the World Healing Event.
Yes, let's
Okay.
get all that stuff.
Are we? Oh,
Yeah, you're
okay.
on.
But it's not
Yep.
Saturday, so I'll cover it.
It's
It's a Monday.
It's December 31st.
It's December the 31st
from
every year.
6:30.
From 6:30 to, we say 6:30 to 8:30.
So it's a good idea to probably get there a bit early too, right? Get
It's
there
a-
for 6, right?
Well,
little
quarter
after.
past 6 is fine.
Okay.
And you walk up 2 stairs and the room is gorgeous.
And did you have to take your shoes off?
No.
Oh, okay.
And we have somebody coming in with ceremonial bowls. It's very
Wow, it
beautiful.
sounds beautiful.
We
It's
have a
very
candle lighting ceremony.
We
with-
have-
to the Alleluia from Pachelbel Canon,
Wow.
and it's just
And
lovely.
we invite the
Sounds
children.
lovely.
We invite the children particularly to participate in lighting the candle. So the way we usually do it is the children come up to the main candle, and then they go along the rows and light the people on the
Wow.
on the aisle, and they pass it on to the next, to the next. And it's lovely.
And
It's
last year
something
you
I
had
hope.
800 people?
No, not last year. A few years ago.
Okay.
Funnily enough, that year there was a huge storm, snowstorm all over the show, and people still came. They
Wow.
always come.
Wow.
There are some faithfuls. Are we finished? I
no,
can
not
see-
yet.
Oh, okay.
Let's just okay.
Okay, come on. No, 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 no.
And now you got Brenda McIntyre coming up
Oh,
this year,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yes.
What a voice. What an energy. She's a woman from the West Coast and from the indigenous people. And she is one mighty, wonderful shaman. I don't know if she wants me to say that, but she is. Her music is amazing. Her voice is very healing. And very often when she sings, she'll somehow gather the energy from the group and sing it out back to the group. I mean, it's lovely.
So she's going to be singing
She's
at this
she's our star.
ceremony.
We have Lorne Gould and Penny
Weinstock.
Weinstock playing some music.
Wow.
And we also have Howard Jerome, who's always been, well, for many years has been our compere, our MC. So we've got something exciting to offer everybody. We hope you'll come out. You'll be amongst those year after year that says, you know what, that was good. We're going to come again.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes?
Good. Yes.
Thank you
Sounds like
very
an
much.
It is good.
unbelievable
We've
morning.
been delighted to be here. Do you need to say something?
I just need to say thank you very much.
Okay. Now, is there a website or something that people can find out
Yeah.
more about this stuff?
Glad you asked. www. Here, well, it's on the bottom.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me see here tomorrow.
does it say?
Well, World Peace. No.
World- MySpace.com
/ World Peace Toronto, or
No,
you can look it up on Facebook.
No,
World
it-
Healing Meditation.
That's right.
World Healing
Meditation.
That's it.
World Healing Event Toronto. That's what it is. It's World Healing
Okay.
Event Toronto.
And all the details are there.
And the details are there. And you get an image of from the balcony, seeing all the people and the image of the earth, and it's nice.
Oh, and you know what? We have some footage of last year's
Oh,
event,
great.
which we're going to watch.
A couple
That's
years ago, yeah.
Or just to give people an idea. of
Absolutely.
what they
It's a
can
lot of
experience.
fun.
Yeah.
It's not, meditation can be fun.
It's good to get up early
Oh,
on
it
that
sounds
morning.
amazing.
Besides, the next day you can sleep in.
Everybody feels so sanctimonious when they come so
Now, are
early.
you
Yeah.
celebrating New Year's Eve? Are you going out to
Of course,
celebrate?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
okay.
yeah.
That's going to be a
By
long
the way-
day.
It's a long day. Like she
By
said,
the
sleep
way-
in the next day.
By the way, it's a no-charge event.
Oh, okay.
People are very generous, but it is a no charge. So people don't feel that they have to pay for anything. We do it on trust.
Fantastic tomorrow. And
Thank
you know
you,
what we
sir.
should do though?
Yeah.
What's your website in case people want to follow
Oh,
with you?
thank you.
about the rebirth
It's
thing?
very simple. It's www.tamarapen.com. TAMARAPENN.com. It's very simple.
Okay, great. And Frida,
Thank you.
I know you're involved in a whole bunch of other stuff as well. Do you have a
Well,
website?
what
No website, actually.
What?
Universal Lounge.
We're Universal Light Center, but we don't have a website. We just have a community of people that like to meditate. We meditate at the time of the
Wow.
full moon, the solstices, and this December 31st. So.
Okay, guys.
Ladies, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for having us. It's been a delight, as always. I will see you in the new year
Yes.
because I'm going to be doing a very special workshop for Valentine's.
Okay.
Valentine's.
That's
it's
a
about
hint,
relation.
She
It's
will
about
be- she-
relationships.
You have to go.
You know, assuming that we're all here and that we haven't quite got it yet, And you know the whole thing,
I think that's a
right?
hint to
Everybody
Hugh.
says, you know,
Hugh,
we never
Hugh.
know. There's nothing like a little planning ahead, right? Okay. To your good health.
Thank you, Tamara.
Cheers.
Cheers. You see, I've
To a
already got
wonderful,
it.
wonderful
I've got it already in
2013.
the invisible.
Yes.
Yes.
I drink to your health.
Thank you, Tamara.
Cheerio,
Okay.
everybody.
So here's the video from last year's World
Couple
Healing
years
event,
ago, I
and
think.
we're going to come back with our next guest. I don't know who wants to come up next, but we'll figure it out during this break. Okay, we're back here on the show, and
We just learned something from Jeff. That's amazing already.
what did we learn?
Okay, so when we move into fifth dimension and
Yeah.
we're all invisible,
Yeah.
there's still going to be pizza.
Well,
Big
that-
slice
well,
pizza.
That's really good news. And it's
That's
going to be all
going to-
natural, too. All natural. None of that processed cheese food will not make the transition to fifth density, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And no 5 minutes or it's free.
I don't know
or
about the
35
Kraft
minutes or it's
slices.
Free delivery thing.
Will the Kraft slices make it? Or will, how about cheese
Sheriff's
whiz?
potatoes in a box, not going to make it.
Oh, damn.
You know,
No.
yeah, I don't
Curly,
even know
curly
why
fries. Curly fries.
Curly fries.
Come on.
How about Kraft dinner?
Yes.
Kraft dinner.
We're
We're Canadian.
But
We
not
have
the
to have
ketchup,
Kraft dinner.
guys. Not the ketchup. Okay.
Great
No,
poupon
not
mustard.
ketchup.
Special mustard.
Great.
Bare naked ladies.
Yes.
Special mustard.
The ketchups.
Really expensive ketchups.
No. It
Dijon
can't be.
ketchup.
It can't be expensive because there's no more money.
That's right. Well, it won't have any value, so whatever you buy, it'll be free anyway.
You don't
get
buy.
the best ketchup.
You don't
It's
buy.
just
right?
food.
Oh yeah, you don't buy.
It's just food. It's just food. You don't need to differentiate.
That's right.
I'll have
that's right.
some of that food, please.
It'd be more like the
Nana.
Jetsons than we know. Jeff, do you even know about the Jetsons?
Oh, I used to watch that when I was little.
So didn't
Yeah.
they kind of like instantly kind of manifest things from a machine or something?
All I remember is that robot Rosie, the nanny, who was like,
Yeah.
"Hi guys," and then was like trying to look after them and
Yeah.
stuff.
Couldn't you do your hair in all these different styles? You just kind of press a button and your hair would be different and you could change your color and all of that. That'd be so amazing.
That's what's happening. That's what the world we're heading into,
Wow.
right?
That okay.
Maybe.
For someone like me who
Yeah.
has a really hard time making choices, I can't go into a mall because there's too much to choose from.
In the future, the
I will
state
be
will
so
choose for
confused.
you.
Okay.
This-
That works.
Dictating.
Are you talking police state now?
Doesn't
That's
matter.
not 5D.
Yeah, it sounds
As long as it's the
Orwellian
state.
to me.
That's not 5D.
1984.
Okay.
All right. So we have Jeff.
Jeff Fisher is joining us here, and Jeff, it's great to have you on the show because, well, we sort of talked about this last Wednesday, right? And now here you are.
Thank you both. It's such an honor to have my teacher and a friend of mine here, Hugh, and to be part of this. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. And we both love pizza. And,
Yes.
Which is
I love pizza too.
Specifically at the Big Slice.
At the
Even
Big
though
Slice
it's who
is
knows
good.
what's in it. Doesn't
Gluten-free,
matter.
Well,
vegan, okay?
$5 pizza pop.
it's
Young
a
and
good
Dundas.
deal. Big slice of pizza just around the corner from here, but that's not really what we're here to talk about today. So I'm not sure, Jeff. What are we talking about here today? I mean, it's great to have you on.
What we want to talk about with Jeff is how much he's transformed, which we think is what's going to happen with a lot of people as we move into 2013, right?
Okay, Jeff. So how have you transformed?
Well, a big part of it is to do with Sandra and the shift into one course that I took. And I think I started on this journey about 6 years ago, and I was really depressed. I hit my mid-20s crisis, which seems to be a new thing now for people in my generation. I'm 34 now, but when I was in my late 20s. And so it's basically the group of people that leave university, follow the system, the old 3D system, and get a job and get a girlfriend or a boyfriend and follow that system. And then it's all supposed to work out and be happy. And I was really, really unhappy. Nothing was working out for me. You know, I had a job, but I wasn't happy there. And then my girlfriend broke up with me, and then I was on probation, and I knew I just couldn't do the corporate thing anymore. So it was very uncomfortable for me. And I didn't understand at the time that a lot of this, that basically it's all of it is an energy universe, that there's energy underneath the mind construct. So outside of your thoughts in your head, there's really an energy. And so we feel things, but the problem is that we misinterpret what we feel based on the thought paradigms that we're in growing up as children in the families that we're in. And like Sandra's teaching, you know, we all chose this when we came in to experience this, and Franco's talked about this as well. But a lot of us get stuck and we're like, well, what do we do about it? So I went to Christmas back in about 2006, 2007, and my aunt and uncle gave me a Tony Robbins book. It was Awaken the Giant Within. So I found that was kind of, and the funny thing was, it was like chapter 10 or whatever. It wasn't the words that got me to my first kind of awakening or aha moment. It was the vibration of how I interpreted the words when I got out of my mind. So I'm sitting at a Tim Hortons. Right from that point, within 2 days, I went back to the Tim Hortons, was reading more of it. There was a lady behind me who was like a spiritual coach. It's very similar energy to Sandra's.
Wow.
And she invited me over to the house, and that movie, The Secret, that really hit big on Oprah and all that, hadn't even been published yet, but there was a video, an early copy that she got from California. So here I am in her house with 4 or 5 other spiritual people watching The Secret, and that just woke me up. And it wasn't the speakers who I really love Canfield too, but it wasn't the money part that really resonated. It was the Dr. Michael Beckwith part, the spiritual part, and I could feel his energy through the TV screen. What is energy? I didn't know. So anyway, to make a long story short, I started following different things. I took different courses, and my vibration kept going up, but I didn't know anything about vibration. All I knew is I didn't want to suffer anymore. So I took a number of courses, and then I had a life coach for a while. Karen Haywood was excellent, and she taught me about emotions and how you basically, you can still do the mental coaching if you want to, but the way to heal a lot of these patterns is the breath, as they talked about earlier, the meditation, and to allow that to come out of you and basically to feel the uncomfortable feeling.
Not be afraid to feel. Not
Exactly.
be afraid to feel.
And not be frightened of that. It's because when you stay there at neutrality and you feel those feelings coming up, and you don't attach a story to them, both you and Franco talked about that too, then you can feel those feelings and let them go, and let them go, and let them go. And so what I really wanted to share today was, and this was just 24 hours ago after taking your course, I was making a lot of little breakthroughs. My energy was going up and I was feeling really good. Okay, the basic principle is everyone is an aspect of me. So if I'm judging this person or this person's angry, then there's some anger in me that's been there. And when I was able to flag that back, I was getting closer and closer. So the really good news today is that I can say I've fully healed and forgiven my dad. And this all happened over a dinner just last night. After I said I would come out here. I still had that.
So you didn't even have this experience when you agreed to be on the show?
No. And I was still scared because I knew I wanted to. It went from I can't forgive him to I don't want to forgive him to I'm going to forgive him. I love him. I know I love him. I know there's something in me that's just blocked, to released. And like I was telling you before on the break, it wasn't like, okay, this, because often we hear love and forgiveness, and we're taught in some of these other courses, like, you know, it means just sweeping it under the rug and giving everyone a hug and it's going to be okay. But now with the energy shift in the planet, we can't do that anymore because the emotions are coming up so fast. And like you said, like the past lives too, which we, you know, I'm really open to that concept now that we've probably been doing this for many thousands of years. So we can't really sweep it under the rug and just show up for Christmas dinners and yeah, it'll all be roses. If and the thing is, really, you taught me like to truly love myself, that like I don't want to do it 80% or 70%. I want to do it 100%. And so every issue I shared last night calmly with this vibration, he was able to respond calmly because he's an aspect of me. And then I was able to raise the vibration and say something again. But when you did this, it really hurt me, rather than you did this, it's your fault. And I found out what blew my mind, guys. 80% of this was not the abusive relationship that I thought I had with him. It was actually 80% of it was my mind misinterpreting what I saw, creating a story. Some of it seemed like it was a totally different experience, like it almost like never happened or it didn't matter anymore. 20% of it was the stuff that he really did do, but there was a reason behind it, you know.
And so even that 20%, Jeff, could you say you found love and compassion for that 20%?
Absolutely. When he told me his story growing up with his own mom, I mean, his parents divorced too, and you know, my grandma was wonderful to me, but I didn't know the history between him and my grandma years ago, and my grandma did a lot of things to him, so he was just playing out his story, and he didn't know what to do, and he was a young father, and he panicked. So the way I look at this in the global is like, look, if we can do this with our families, first with ourselves and then with our families, really we can have peace. We really can. And peace isn't, the other thing I'm learning is it doesn't, all of this paperwork, it's not so much the paperwork anymore, or like writing something down, because we all see those get broken in 2 weeks. It's the vibration of peace, and it's being peace. And I think it's the hardest concept to get in the beginning because of how we're trained, like to want to blame someone else. You know, it's not either, look at the media, right? It's either that kid in Connecticut, he's a really bad kid and he deserves to be punished, or it's the government or the society, which
or
to a large extent,
or whatever.
Yeah, and to a large extent, I do believe that we've created a fear-based society. Okay, but then it comes back to me, what can I do about it? You know,
but Jeff, what about the reptilian, alien, shape-shifting hybrids?
I don't know. They might exist, right? I don't know. The way I look at it is I'm only responsible for me. Well, 2 others, but I'm only in control of my own self. And so,
So what
they would
about
want to be
them?
loved too if they were real.
So let's go to Tim Hortons with them.
I'm good.
Let's invite them to Tim Hortons or Big Slice Pizza.
I heard they prefer Starbucks.
Really? Oh, they
Picky.
might
That's how you
kind of
can tell 'em.
reptilian then.
Yeah.
This is an insult to Canadian Anna or whatever. Canadian
Tim
stuff.
Hortons, I know.
It is?
Yes, because the reptilians should like Tim Hortons.
No, let them go to Starbucks.
Okay. We'll keep Tim Hortons to ourselves. That'll be our
Exactly.
secret on
Yes.
this planet.
Okay.
So I think the reason I think this is really important to talk about now is because as we're moving into 2013, we're moving into a lot of the energy changing, and like the ladies Tamara and Frida talked about, the whole world peace meditation, it starts from within, and a lot of us are going through tumultuous times in terms of clearing, right, and clearing our emotions and our beliefs and that kind of thing, and I think what Jeff has gone through is representative of a lot of us going through this kind of stuff. So it's about releasing. I mean, you gave a beautiful story of how you transcended that. Instead of building more layers on, we're taking layers off through what you're doing, and the growth, the fact that you can actually find love for somebody who was such a source of suffering for you. But now, on the other side, you can see that he's the greatest teacher, and in that way, the greatest friend.
The most beautiful thing of this is that when you hit this point of awareness, you know, like you've shared with me, Sandra, you realize, like I realized, like I was really doing this to myself, and like I can't hurt him anymore. I can't hurt people anymore without suffering myself, without feeling that emotion before. And that's the thing, is that we're not separate from one another. And so me getting angry with him last year and dumping a bunch of emails off was projecting my own stuff and saying, well, now I'm going to hit you back. And this is being played out in families and global conflicts right now. And so all I want to do is love him now. And
And this is such a change, because weeks ago you and I went for a walk before this this transformation had taken place, and we talked a lot about your father. And there was a lot of anger in your voice, even to the point where when people were walking, there was a man riding a bike down the street, and Jeff had created a story about how mean this man was. Everybody on the street represented your father, and you had stories around every single person who was walking by. You had such contempt, and even though these were complete strangers, and so, you know, we talked a lot about that. And I think actually you were angry at me for a while.
Yes, I was, because that was mirroring back to me. Yeah, you hit a point where people actually try to start to love you, which is good, because you're attracting that in.
Yes.
But when people are
true.
trying to love you, you're shooing them, you're pushing them away because you want to suffer. I wanted to suffer, and then
Well, you don't feel worthy of the love, right?
Yeah, and it was easier for me to be angry and say, well, you know, like Sandra's just got an ego or blah blah blah, and I'm telling you the truth, and I love you so much. And once I kicked into the awareness, and I'm like, oh my God, like no one stuck their neck out for me as much as you have that hasn't been related to me, and you didn't have to do that. And there's so much love in Sandra, then there's got to be that love in me too. Like I can't not go on. And then I thought of like my classmates too, and it's like, you know, like I know one of my classmates was away for a couple weeks, and I felt that, you know, without projecting that in me, but like I felt some feelings of sadness and emptiness because we're all in this together.
Yes.
And I'm like, if I don't be there, it's going to hurt myself. And I know other people will make their own choices, but like we all want to be in this together. It's more fun when we're in this together. And love is just, the basic premise of this is love feels better than fear.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good to hang on to stuff. And it's almost like, it's so hard to let go in the beginning, but when we do, it's like, it really is life transforming, the work that Shift into One is teaching me, and what you've taught us, and that you care so much, because then all of us recognize that we care so much, and then we can take this out into the world. And I'll tell you something right now, because I'm a writer, and I blog a lot on Facebook. Since this course, in the last 2 months, the number of people that have come to my page and I've gone to their pages, like England, Australia, Asia, Philippines, Ireland, everywhere. And we're all coming together through social media now. It's just a matter of time. And I've said this before, because I love your show, Hugh, and I'm like, this is going to hit all of this is going to hit mainstream soon. It's just the old power structure. And even that, I had a lot of judgments, you know, the Illuminati, this and that. And you know what? That's just that's the old system. Most of us didn't know any better.
Yeah.
We all fed into it too. I mean, I truly believed in, and I remember, you know, because I had this thing about money at one point too. Like I'd go down the street. Yorkville's a really good area for this. You go along Bloor West, and you see, you know, Sephora and all those stores, and it's like, and then you know, as a man, you have fantasies. I'm going to meet my dream girl and buy her jewelry, and you start to have those images, and you know, it's just part of a system. And then you see a whole other aspect of love, which is internal, which is beautiful, which is holy, and you feel the love inside, like that you gave me, just for going for a walk, was so much more than, you know, if you would have bought me a car, because the car really doesn't have any value other than just to get around now. And it might look nice. I know a lot of car buffs, so it's all good. But it's only an addition to, whereas the feeling, the vibration of love is really the best. And even we hit a point now, I'll say one more thing, with relationships too, because this is a big one for me, and I think for a lot of my friends, like all this twin flame talk and finding your soulmate. And it's like, all of this, again, is just more aspects of ourselves. So if you're in the moment, like I was today, and I see a woman that I find attractive, and I just send out love and appreciation without even saying anything, and then Dundas hit and I walked off the subway, that's enough.
Yeah.
Because there's no time and space anyway, so there's no ego attachment to anything. And again, it's going to take some more work for me and maybe for others, but it's worth it. I'm so blessed to have everybody, and I couldn't imagine the next, like, where are we going to be in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years, in 10? It's going to be incredible. This planet really rocks.
Wow.
What about all those coffins at the FEMA camps, though?
The way I look at it is I'm more of I'm an optimist, but I'm also trying to be realistic as best as I can, Hugh. And I would say this. Okay, so there does seem to be parallel universes right now. There is one group of people that are still in the darkness that seem to control the banks and the media. So be it. And then there's the rest of us, the light workers that are coming on board. All we can do is just be who we want to be and share our love and light, and allow the system to take its course. I mean, I truly believe that peace is possible, and I know we're going to do it. But in the short term, it's really, I'll watch the news to be informed for 5 minutes. I usually go on the internet because I don't get the sound, that sound and that noise, the bombs, is really uncomfortable. So just read the words, and then let it go. And not always believe, just read it objectively and not make a story and say, well, that's right.
Well, plus Sandra and I were thinking about turning them into cat shelters.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
See, that's what we're going to do. That's like we're going to recycle them, because that was the old, in with the new, and now they're going to be amazing cat shelters. In fact, coffins are bigger than the cat shelters that we have, so they're going to be like cat condos.
Super, yeah.
They're going to be like a family could live in that.
Of cats.
Yeah, that would be like, we could start creating, local communities. It's going to be wonderful.
Yes. Okay, Jeff. Any final thoughts, or?
Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hugh.
And I think you are. That's the way we're going. I think you're the way of the future.
Thank you. I'm honored. I really am. And all I would say to everybody is who hasn't. Are you going to offer a course in January?
Yeah, we're doing another working group.
Do you want to give the URL if people want to follow up about that?
Then go into shiftinto1.com.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. Do you have any contact info you want to give out, Jeff?
How about your blog?
Oh, if anyone wants to find me on Facebook, because I like to write, it's Jeff, Jeff, Gaia, like Mother Earth. So it's Jeff Gaia Lightworker. Jeff, Gaia, and then Lightworker. And you can add me on Facebook, and we can stay in touch.
And I have to tell you, your writings are absolutely beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
They
Thank you.
make so many of us cry.
Thank you very much.
They really touch our heart. Wow, it's
Thank
beautiful.
you. And Hugh, I just want to say too, I love the set here, and I just feel really comfortable in this. It's like a little oasis downtown, and I'm just really happy. I've never done like talked on TV before, and this is just fantastic for me. I was so happy to just share and be, and like we're all, so
I'd
rock
say
on.
Jeff is ecstatic.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jeff. This is great. Thanks for
Thank
doing
you,
it.
I give you a
Jeff.
huge hug. Can we do that on?
Well, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Wait
while
till
we-
after.
While we watch this video of an alien. Yeah, they found an alien in Argentina,
They found an alien in
and
Argentina.
we have video.
Argentina? Why Argentina?
You know, I don't know. Could be
That's
anywhere.
because there's gorgeous girls there, right? Isn't that where they have the gorgeous girls?
Brazil. I'm not saying anything bad about the Argentinian girls because I don't know that much
I
about
think
it.
they're pretty hot too.
They probably are. Something
Yeah, I
about
think
South
that's what it
America.
is. Yeah.
Okay, let's watch it. Maybe that's why the alien went there. Okay, let's watch this. We're gonna come back with Jeff. I don't know who we're gonna come back with. Either Jeff or Hildegard as Liquid Launch continues.
You say you wanted everything else. What you had was never enough to show. I know it's not
back here on the show, and we've got Hildegard Miner joining us here, and also Steve Silverton is here. Steve.
Hey.
Okay, so we were in the middle of some stuff there.
Some
Hildegard.
amazing. Well, Hildegard's got an interesting story. We were saying that we don't really think Hildegard looks human.
Oh, thank you. I take that as a compliment.
What planet are you from?
Well, what I know is that when I was very ill in my early 30s, an energetic exchange took place. I'm not sure whether you're familiar with
Now, does that mean
the books of Shirley MacLaine and Jane Roberts' Walk-ins.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, walk-in. Okay.
Yeah. So you would have noticed a stay-at-home mom living the perfect life with 3 little kids, executive husband and all of that, in the suburb of Toronto, living a normal life. But after the birth of my 3rd son, I went from 200 pounds with baby to under 100 pounds in less than 6 months,
Oh
which
my
ultimately
God.
led to the physiology collapsing. And then consequently, the medical system was aghast, like they didn't know what was wrong with me. They just felt, well, you have some cardiovascular issues. Maybe a heart attack next time your head hits the pillow, or the pavement, better say. And so then from that on, I had to ask myself, who am I? And what was really profound, the more these incidences happened, the first time it happened in 1992. Dominic was born 1991, so it was 1992. I was in Germany, my parents live in Germany, and I had the baby with my mom, went to a store to run some errands, and I noticed going up an escalator that the curtain closed. It's almost like you're in a beautiful theater with its velvet curtains, and the velvet curtains kind of closed in, and it got dark. And the next moment, I was in this brilliant iridescent space of light, and there was this light source in the distance. And I wanted to just cover my face because I thought the light is so bright, I need to protect my eyes. And then I realized, hey, I don't have a body. What's going on? So I was between exhilaration and desperation, knowing, what will happen to my kids if I'm dead? And then the little voice in the distance said something, and I felt, oh yes, I want to be like that. I want to express my true inner convictions and not pretend all the time, right? And so these things happened quite frequently, and took quite some time to integrate new awareness. Like I suddenly found myself knowing more about the human physiology than I ever had interest to know. So I was talked through the process, in essence. I didn't recognize my kids very well. I couldn't relate to my partner anymore. A lot of what was going on in this world made absolutely no sense whatsoever. And so I lived inside this body that wasn't very well functioning, trying to figure out how could I take care of these kids, because on some level I knew that I had a contract with the souls of these young people. And I had a contract with the person who, or the energy that had left before also.
And then the new energy that walked in.
Yes. And so I was going through a process of integration that took quite some doing, took a couple of years. Yet, if anybody can relate to that, the entrance to really understanding it is really to start listening to your inner voice. Human beings are energetic constructs in a physical embodiment. And we might run on 5 senses, and everybody out there might believe that. Yet a lot of, especially young children, run on 5 non-physical senses. And our extrasensory perception is really, or mine extrasensory perception, is what helped me go through this. Because I started to listen to the little voice. And because there was so much confusion in my life at that time, I, out of desperation, journaled and said, well, if there is a God, now would be a bloody good time to show yourself. And then I wanted some miracle worker to show up in my life and rescue me, right? But a children's story came out. The story is called Never Enough, which is going to be published next year. And this story talked, in essence, about the energy between fear and love. And whenever I didn't know what to do, I would simply hear the little voice saying, read the story. Oh, it's about 5 o'clock. Read a bedtime story to the kids, and you know. And I couldn't get what this message was all about. But over the years, living the theories I was given through my journals, I now understand universal law. I understand how what mystics talked about is now verified by the scientists. So I always saw myself as somebody who never fit, who never belonged here. And since my walk-in experience, I learned that we are a force of nature. I am just as powerful as a drop of water. If you take some water, a glass of water out of the ocean, it's not going to be the same again. We are the equivalent of a grain of sand. And to help people understand that a little bit better, I always say, imagine everything is made out of styrofoam balls. And they're different shapes and sizes, and you have these massive, not binoculars, what do you call it?
Telescope?
Yeah, you could put them in a microscope.
Oh,
You have these microscopic glasses, and you could then look into the tiniest of crevices where these balls touch each other. Call them, what is the smallest particles that scientists now call? Is it quarks
Leptons.
or whatever the latest, smallest bit is? But when you put these two bits together, you realize that there's always empty space.
No matter what.
So now the mystic would say it's consciousness. The scientists say it's a unified field, or the field of all potentiality. I think Deepak Chopra says it so eloquently, I could never even come close to explaining it. And then I learned, well, is it then my story is all about letting love or fear feed on my heart's energy? Whenever I have a thought of being separate, or I'm criticizing somebody or criticize myself, these are all fear emotions. So guilt, shame, blame, jealousy, judgment, all of that is low resonance, which means it keeps me separate. So then the opposite is, I am a perfect creation in harmony with divine creator. I have a hard drive, if I may liken it to the computers, and my hard drive is hooked into a mainframe. Call it God, the Force. I love Star Trek, so I talk about the Force a lot. And then now I need to learn how to tune my vessel, my transmitter receiver, the physical body, to tune into the station that I want to be engaged with and I want to have information from. So I can tune into the 11th century mystic Hildegard von Bingen and get her guidance just the same as I could tune into Ram Dass or the ancient Vedic wise people who knew a lot about universal law and knew who we really are as human beings. And as I am, this is at least my theory, as I am understanding who I am in the big universal picture of things, then it's suddenly not about me anymore. It's not about, oh my God, am I going to look good? Or, oh my God, what are people think of me? It's really me realizing that I came here to play, and I know you like playing, you. And as I'm playing my music or writing my poetry or whatever it is, doing my garden work, I'm true to myself, then I'm tuned into that force. And then like Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the German poet, once said, providence takes place. If you're committing yourself to do something, even though it's impossible, Hildegard, you're not going to live, you're not going to raise your children, you're not going to see them graduate from kindergarten, never mind university. Thank you for showing yourself, you mean well. Yet then I realized their frame of reference in the medical system, they helped me greatly when my kids broke their legs on a skateboard going down concrete stairs and stuff like that. My God, I really want the medical profession to come and put the x-ray and give me the painkillers and give me all of that. Yet it's my responsibility ultimately to understand how this machine works and how to take care of it. What I put into my system ultimately determines its resonance. So all the different healing modalities that are out there that help us purify our physiology, whether it's cleansing our colon or cleaning out our stinking thinking or whatever it is. You know, we just had a perfect example when Jeff was talking about his connection to his dad. The stories we make up about people really create a physical reality. And I made myself ill by perceiving myself as a victim of circumstance. That was a program the previous energy was carrying. As a victim of circumstance, everybody is out to get me, or the world is a hostile place and I need to use my elbows to get ahead. And the minute I understand that, what the program says, I can choose any other program, put it in, tune my physiology into a new station, and then get profound guidance, which then makes life truly magical. And I mean, you and I met 1996, he said.
Wow.
And I know he looks so familiar, but where do we meet?
And you haven't seen each other since?
No. Isn't it amazing?
Wow.
So the universal magic is really only magic if you don't know how it works.
Yes.
But if we can subscribe to the notion that there is divine design and all our souls made a plan to be each other's supporter or each other's, villain, the person who teaches me or gives me the opportunity to learn compassion, empathy, patience is a big one for me in this lifetime. God, give me patience, but give it to me now, damn it, right? So figure out what your lessons are that you subscribe to coming into this lifetime. And I think really, truly, planet Earth is a very dense reality that we came into to experience certain lessons that allow us then energetically to birth ourselves, as Tamara was saying earlier. So to me, like 2013 or the 21st of December is really all about the Christ consciousness or the oneness consciousness that I'm about to wake up to. It's not about the world going under. Energetically, the planet is so full of love, the resonance is so high right now that a lot of the constructs that are fear-based, that are not in line with win-win or universal love, unconditional love, then they'll eventually change or they will somehow dissipate, they go by the wayside. And that's just like a tree dying in the fall or losing his legs or his leaves. And some trees, they choose to die, they do not come back and they do not have leaves the next spring again, and it's just a normal cycle. Now I have an advantage because I have this near-death experiences and I know that I can never die as an essence. And so I have so much more freedom even in what on the outside looks as horrific life circumstances on the outside, because I have that
So how come you have that and others don't, Hildegard? Why and why did you have that walk-in? What is this walk-in here to do now? Clearly you're a different person.
Well, what the walk-in here is to do, I have to write, I have to speak. I created a company called High Awareness.
High Awareness? Okay.
Yeah, so my objective is to support people connecting with their own guidance, recognizing it. Everybody is connected, but we are just not paying attention to it most of the time, initially at least. And then something dramatically maybe happened, whether it is an accident, a relationship breakdown, loss of a job, or, in my case, my mom passed on. It was absolutely traumatizing. And so then we start questioning.
Okay, but it was traumatizing, but there is no death. Did you know that at the time your mom passed on?
Yes, but when I first, in my mid-30s, I didn't know. I thought I actually could die still.
Okay.
It took some time to really start listening and writing down. And then when the student is ready, universal law says, ask and you shall be given.
Yeah.
So I could use a physical teacher right now. Please send it to me. And then the teacher actually did show up. Or the teacher was sometimes a book. Or it was a message on a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Or you would switch on the radio and suddenly the same tune you heard over and over, it somehow teaches you
means something else.
Something.
Yeah.
So I had a gentleman once say to me, God doesn't speak to you with his big boom box. Our wisdom speaks to us very subtly, and it's different for everybody. So my objective is to support people in, first of all, understanding a new paradigm. Fear versus love, the unconscious creator versus the conscious creator. So when I create unconsciously, chances are the outcome, the consequence is unpleasant. When I'm consciously creating, there might be some unpleasant parts, yet it's generally just a hurdle that I have to overcome to be more comfortable in this new awareness.
To get to the pleasant parts.
Right, exactly. But it takes also then to really come out of denial, like what I don't know can still hurt me. So I need to overcome the denial as to what my contribution to where I am today is. And the condition that came to me naturally was, it's his fault, of course. I mean, you know, if my parents would have raised me right, or if I just lived in a different country, or if my husband would come home on time and sometimes bathe the children. I mean, you know, he's a wonderful person. He did everything right. But we can't see that when we are in that situation. And in a way, I feel very blessed that I had that higher awareness all the time. And higher awareness is actually spelled H-I-R-E. So you can buy your self-awareness if you don't have it, right? And it can also mean higher. Now, with different levels of awareness doesn't mean one is better than the other. It's just different. It's like an airplane that flies on 5,000 feet and you can only use the instruments. It's equally an airplane to a jumbo jet that can go across the ocean, but there is no visual flight. You have to fly by instrument. So, and I think the minute I realized that everything in the universe is really perfectly designed, everything in my life I designed perfectly for me to learn what I came here for, then the people that I should just really be angry with the most are really, as you said earlier, your greatest teachers, and they're just to be loved. And as I allow that love for myself, and that's the biggest trip for me actually, the distance from the head to the heart, that's a big one. From denying what role did I play in creating the life that I am experiencing. That is really a tough thing. But then again, when I start to take responsibility, I just entertain the possibility that what I have, or maybe as a society or as a collective, we start to entertain the thought that we actually created this mess. And all it really takes is to state to the universe, we are taking a responsibility now, and we are consciously making an effort to change. Not just to change, to make it stay the same, but to transform it in such a way that now everything I as an individual do ought to be a win-win situation and ought to be to the highest good of all. And as we then, as a person, live that from the inside out, we resonate that. People, circumstances, material things show up in your life. It's so much fun to live that way. And I want people to have that magical experience. So 2013, it is really all about becoming authentic, connecting with your authentic self.
Well, didn't she mention, Frida mentioned the word magic a lot with the rays, right? So in your word, we're mentioning the word magic a lot. So there's definitely a consistency there. I guess it's going to be a magical time.
It is a magical time. And to go with the ancient Mayan teachings, we are entering the 9th wave of consciousness. So the 8th wave of consciousness for the last 200 years, interestingly enough, coincided with the advent of the industrialization. People used to live in communities, they lived off the land, supporting each other, and were self-reliant living on the land. Then the move into the big cities came, and people started to work in factories, and then we went to buy our nutrition in the food, or the foods we need in the store, rather than having the connection to the earth. And interestingly enough, each era, according to the Mayan teachings of human consciousness, has a focal point. And the focal point of the last 8th wave was belief. It was control, domination, and you have to believe. So there were the leaders and those that had to follow.
The believers.
The believers.
So what are we going to now, Hildegard?
So now, from what I understand, it's all about knowing. And it's no longer out there. It's you have to know inside. So I always recommend people, I do a radio show with Luana Morgan, radio.com. And I said, don't believe a word I'm saying, because I really have no clue. I'm just sharing my inner soul's wisdom, you know, and my experience of a woman who has lived a certain amount of decades on this planet. And you ultimately need to run it by your inner hard drive and see whether it is good for you. Then try it on and run with it. And if it doesn't fit, then throw it out. So people really now are at a point of listening to their knowing. And from this point of knowing, we then create our life. And I find that's the difficult part. Because now I have to have faith that what stood in my journal book as the stuff that I was supposed to live now, the decisions I was to make, were now determined by my journal. Not by the medical expert, not by my accounting friend, not by anybody who I thought was an expert. And I didn't think that I was all that smart and all together. They were my 3 little kids. I know I loved them. I wanted to take care of them. I wanted them to have the best life ever. And there was a body that wasn't working. And everybody out there says, well, you know, you could take a little bit medication for irritable bowel. How about you're in early menopause? Maybe that's why you turn gray and you lose all your hair. And so I was offered all these different remedies and none of it helped. So to believe then that I have the answer, especially when I am there to be responsible for these 3 little kids, my perfect marriage to the love of my life dissolved, and everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. And it was really this dark night of the soul that some of the authors are talking about. I don't know whether it's Donald Neil Walsh that talks about it also. That we really develop our convictions. And then as we see, though, our theories actually, the rubber sticks, like, you know, it's working. Things are moving forward. That's then an incredible encouragement to keep on going and listen to yourself. And so for me, to have 4 grown children, most of them live their life by their inner wisdom. To me, I don't need to do anything else. Like, my life is so blessed already. And to have magically found the support and all the people and all the resources to enable me to even have a radio show, like the little voice said in 2003, you ought to register, the semester starts in September, it's already August, like, get on with it. And so why would I do that? Because you got to learn about how to write for radio and television. And I don't want to do that. I don't like to be there. I'm scared of people. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm living in the forest, which I did actually. And I resisted. And now I'm talking to you, and I did 3 shows with Luana Morgan Radio, and I just totally love it. Being, like, what is high awareness about?
Who told you?
My inner voice.
Okay, so can we talk a little bit about the walk-in, where you're
Sure.
from? Can we talk about that?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, where am I from? Let me put it this way. I heard BOTA's Andromeda Galaxy. And I didn't really talk about this because it wasn't very popular in the mid-90s to talk in those terms. So I just kept a low profile. I am the stay-at-home mom who runs a nutritional business on the side, writes and does all of these things, but you don't need to know that I'm a walk-in.
You don't need to know that I'm a walk-in.
No.
I'm from Andromeda.
Exactly. I am weird, all right. That's all you need to know. So then came the time when I needed some help from a naturopathic doctor.
Okay.
And I walked into a naturopathic doctor's office in Coburg. And I never met the lady. I knew her name was Hanya. She came highly recommended. So she shakes my hand and says, hello, I'm Hanya. What planet are you from? I'm from Andromeda.
Is that what she said?
That's what she said.
Wow.
Like, there's a reception area, and then there is a little offices where the doctor comes to see the patients, and the patients wait in the little rooms. And so in this room, she came in the door.
Wow.
I was sitting in the room already, so nobody could listen to us. And then she says, my name is Hannah, and I'm from Andromeda. Where are you from? And I just kind of sat on the chair saying,
Did you already have the note? I guess, okay, so you already had
I knew.
that information already, that you were from Andromeda.
Yeah, and I have many an experience where I've been lying on this bed and there's this beautiful white-haired people. I can't tell whether they're female or whether they're male, but they have gorgeous skin, like a newborn baby bump. The skin is so amazing. The eyes are a little bit bigger than ours. They're very beautiful blue. And hair is almost silver, goldish color.
Wow.
And I noticed that there were 2 people standing by my feet. One person held my head, and there was 3 or 4 people on each side. I'm not sure whether there were 12 or 10.
Wow.
And they talked to me and they told me something. I don't remember, I can't verbally repeat what they said, but it felt, okay then, it's good, I'm just going to lie here, right? And it felt like these 100,000 cashmere sweater hugs I was given. Like I have no words for the feeling of warmth and closeness, and yeah, it was really amazing. And I've been there many, many times. Sometimes I felt like when I was nursing my daughter, I remember quite vividly, I was so exhausted. I said, you know what, 9 months nursing is enough, I'm not going to do any of it anymore. And I had this real negativity towards my child, and I felt really angry about it because I ought not to feel that way. And I was nursing, and I remember suddenly it felt, I gotta hold this child, she's gonna fall. Like I was sitting in an armchair like this. And I was there, and I said, never mind, you know that we take care of all these things, just chill. Your physical form is perfectly fine, as is the baby. Don't you think we wanna make her feel comfortable too, right? So it's amazing, it's hard to describe. It's a very loving, comfortable place that I was.
Okay, Hildegard, we don't have a lot of time left, but did you want to read that poem?
Which one do you want me to read? The
I don't
Galactic
know.
Poem?
I don't know.
The
The
Galactic
one.
Human?
Let's talk about the Galactic Human.
Okay.
Sound good?
We might be from outer space and feel like we don't belong. Even though it's hard to believe, struggles and pain do make our soul strong. We spiral upwards in vibration. We feel it in our bodily sensation. What once was considered DNA junk turns out not at all to be defunct. Increased photon activity of the sun sends many a chromosome on the run, waking us up, opening all our throttles. No wonder one sometimes wobbles. Once running on 12 DNA strands, the feeling of pain, hardship, and suffering wanes. All is attracted, shows up as if blown in by the breeze. Life is lived with so much more ease. The resonance of love has its many connectors, crossing points, amino acidic fuel injectors.
Wow.
Feeling compassion, gratitude, and generosity propels our consciousness with much velocity. Fear, to the contrary, only generates deflectors. Illusions of dangers have us battle dementors. It inhibits potential and narrows our vision. That's why there is telly and much tunnel vision. Zombies are those who aren't fully awake, unwilling to give their head a bit of a shake. They claim to have it on high authority, though check out what's their ultimate priority. Common good always is lesser than the good of the leader. Many a man perished over eons as the cannon's feeder. The ground troopers controlled with fear are free to hold on to whatever they hold dear. Universal laws govern life day in, day out. We are free to be grateful, also free to doubt and to pout. It's our choice to rise above separation and isolation. The opportunity exists now for 12 DNA strain activation. 2012 is all about ascension, oneness, consciousness, and expansion. Embrace yourself as genetically encoded, cellular information being quickly promoted. Increased light, meaning more knowledge, enable self to free from old bondage. Darkness is lack of information, and masses succumbed to manipulation. Our consciousness is expanding real fast, and then we can transcend to fifth dimensional life at last. The veil of illusion will then be no more. We are our authentic self forevermore.
Wow. That is beautiful. Did you like that?
Thank you. Yeah.
And it all starts in 3 days, folks.
And that's where the fun begins. That's all I can say to this. So thank you so much for listening and having me.
Ahead of time,
Yes,
right?
we're celebrating right now. Okay, guys. Now, is there a website, Hildegard, where people can get in touch?
Hireawareness.com. So HIRE awareness.com, and then LuanaMorganRadio.com.
Okay. And Steve?
Wow.
Sorry, I take up so much of your time.
I'll be very short.
He can come on with Jeffrey.
You want us to come on with
Sure.
Jeffrey? Okay, so let's take a little break. We're going to come back with Jeffrey West, talk about the zombie apocalypse. And, of course, the aliens and disclosure. And
money.
Okay, good. Money. Let's watch this. We have the Dark Rift is happening. Let's watch this little
Is
video.
this the 3 days of darkness we're talking about?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Could happen.
Maybe Jeffrey knows about that.
Maybe
And
he
that
does.
doesn't happen anymore, I'm told.
Well, we'll find out.
We'll
Yes,
find
yes.
out in a few days.
Anyway, here it is.
Yeah, I'm
We're gonna
looking
come
forward
back.
to it.
We'll be right back.
You know what?
What if, when the sun moves into the galactic center of the Dark Rift, the supermassive black hole that resides there has a gravitational compression effect on our beautiful sun? What if this compression effect gives our beloved sun a white dwarf effect by compressing the core? Would it give us a 3 days of darkness appearance till she travel out of this field? And what if as she leaves this plane, our sun reignites, and has a rebirthing, if you will? What, aside from global panic, will happen to Earth as this occurs? I have based this hopefully fun theory on some actual scientific data. What we do know is there is a supermassive black hole at the galactic center of our universe. Sagittarius say we don't know much about it though. We know that there is an eccentric gas/dust cloud heading toward this supermassive black hole somewhere around 2013. We know that beyond a certain threshold point, the event horizon, nothing can escape a black hole's pull, not even light itself. Earth is not on the event threshold, and is in no danger of being sucked in. Since I'm a simple person, I have to do experiments with what I have. If I have an object like a book in front of my vacuum cleaner, it does not have the power/force to suck up anything on the other side of the book. But if I slowly move the book to one side, I see the pull or suck effects on my object. I placed the object far enough, so my vacuum cleaner would not literally suck up my object, but still have an effect on it. A little effect at first as I'm moving the book out of the suck zone. The suck hole is still partially covered, but I see the pull affecting my object and more effect when I removed the book completely, obviously. Now if I repeat this experiment but this time I move the book by really fast from one side to the other, only a small suck effect on my object happens. A little wiggle in the object is all I see. So what if? I know I have a lot of what ifs, but what if this could happen to our sun? As we pass the supermassive black hole at our galactic center, I'm suggesting it will affect the sun stronger as we are perfectly aligned with this supermassive force, and only a smaller amount as we are approaching it. Perhaps our sun is being affected right now from this force, much like my object and the vacuum cleaner was, when it was only partially exposed to my vacuum cleaner's force. Maybe that is why the sun is so active right now. So what is the effect on Earth if our sun is being, and excuse the term, but sucked off a little? I'm thinking more earthquakes and major weather changes. but also an effect on our Earth's core which could manifest as ejections from volcanic vents or even a magnetic shift. What do you think about it?
Okay, we're back here on
Now
the
we're
show.
back.
And we're celebrating already December 21st.
Yes, we are. And we've got Steve back from the last
'Cause he
segment.
has so
of the
much
show.
to say.
I was very the most articulate I've ever been.
And that's Jeffrey West
mind
joining
blown,
us again.
really.
Oh, I'm
Look at the colors of those guys.
I know,
See, like those
amazing.
colors are like very
Magic.
unique combination of colors.
Because I have to say though,
I
in
don't
the
have a
last
monitor.
segment when beautiful Hildegard spoke so eloquently of everything, Steve is already in the 5D world because he's communicating telepathically. So to all the 5D beings who are watching the show, they totally got Steve's message.
Zork.
Zork. How do you spell
Zork.
that?
Z-O-R-K.
Actually, I
Oh.
wasn't communicating with Zork, but I was communicating with someone else. You're absolutely right,
Kal-El.
Sandra. No, a little different.
Lurgy.
That's
Okay,
it.
Steve.
What was that,
Okay.
Sandra? Who was it?
Yeah, who?
Lurgy.
Oh, you'll get it right one.
Lurgy.
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 Yes.
Steve, yes, your turn. Go.
Okay, so of course with 2012 3 days away, I got a bit of a personal epiphany, and there are two ways of looking at 2012. There's some people are saying it's going to be negative, and some people are saying it's going to be positive. I went with a positive way, and I just had this epiphany within the last few hours. Actually, it was quite interesting. So what I pictured was these different colored balls in the air, one being courage or joy or love and all these things. And what my higher self, and this is one of the things Sandra's been my teacher as she was of Jeff. And higher self is your conduit to the truth, in essence. And I follow my higher self now. What he told me was very simple. He said, you can take those balls and you can juggle them outside. So you will have courage, you'll have joy, all those things. And they will stay outside of you. Or you can walk the walk. You can do something. You can experience them. And just take each of those balls and bring them inside of you, and then they become you. So in other words, I can say, I love you, or I can be love. If I'm going to be love, I can take that and bring it inside of me. It becomes not just an experience, but it becomes me. And I thought that was really powerful. And that's my goal for this coming year, is to take each of those little balls, and there are many, they're all very positive. And even if I juggle them on the outside, they'd still be positive, they'd be wonderful, but they wouldn't be me. They wouldn't be walking the walk. Because all my life, I was thinking, I just heard just recently on a movie or a video, that, there's going to be all this wonderful positive energy coming in. And part of me said, wow, I can take that energy. I don't have to do anything. I'll just absorb it. It's wonderful. It's like a shortcut, and I've done that all of my life. Most of us humans do that. It's easy. We take the easy way out. But my higher self didn't judge me. He just said, look, you can do that, and you'll still be happy. But if you want to raise your vibration, if you want to go to 5D, if you like, then you have to be it. You have to walk the walk. And that just blew me away. So that's what I'm
where's
going to do.
that fear ball?
The fear ball's not there because these are positive balls. If I bring the fear ball inside of me, it's going to disrupt everything. So being joy, being love, being all these things. And speaking of love, I learned a very powerful lesson in the last few weeks. You can say you love someone till you're blue in the face. You can say it, till the color of my shirt. You can say it as much as you want, but you have to be it. You have to do it. And that's where the fear could come in. Sometimes there's this dichotomy between the fear and the love, and you have to make a choice. And I really learned a very valuable lesson in that. So like I said, my New Year's resolution, if you like, or my 2012 December 21st resolution is take those balls and be them, and not just talk about them. That's all I want to say.
Wow. That's pretty powerful.
It is.
Wow. So, no New Year's resolutions then. Let's just be.
Just be. Just walk the walk.
Remember last week we talked about the bees?
Yeah.
The
The
honeybees?
bees always be, don't they?
Yes, that's why they're called bees. They
That's
know how
right.
to be, and they're fifth dimension. They're interdimensional. Right? See, he's drinking the wine.
Hugh is
He's gonna
speechless.
nod his head now
Bubba.
because he's drinking so much wine.
Oh, so we could say anything, you'll just agree, right, Hugh?
I might, Steve.
He still knows you're Steve. We're okay.
Yes, I see that. He knows
Steve,
that.
I mean, Hugh, are you going to be riding your bike home?
Well, yeah, I was planning to, but you just said it got really cold outside.
No, it got cold in here.
In
drink
here.
and bike.
Okay, then I'll be riding home.
Just be careful. You know where you're going.
I will.
Drink and bike. Don't drink and bike.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. It's a drink and bike thing.
Don't worry about that. I'll sleep it off this afternoon. Okay.
Thank you, Steve. That was really, really cool. That was really, really
It was.
cool.
I mean, it was my higher self who brought it to me. I'm very grateful for that.
Beautiful.
It's the movie P.S. I love you, man.
I've never seen it, but I might watch it now.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Okay, let's talk about the aliens, Jeff. What's going on?
Wow.
Mayan calendar, long
he
count,
changes gears,
aliens,
right?
zombie apocalypse. Where do we stand?
Wow. Well, first of all, where do we start? We've had some really wonderful guests throughout the show today. You know, they've covered everything, and I was in the process of making some notes. Tamara and Frida, you know, going through the breathing aspect, you know, the importance of really getting into the self. Jeff came on talking with past lives, connecting with emotions, being able to let go with that, finding peace in your life, and reconciling the stories that you've been living and
Wow.
being.
Illusion, yeah.
He mentioned briefly the story in Connecticut, which I'll touch on in a moment because there's a bigger story happening, I believe, behind this issue. He connected a little bit with twin flames and soulmates, the idea of other aspects of ourselves. So I may, if time allows, I'll try and touch a bit on that. You talked about FEMA camps and coffins. Well, I'm not sure if we'll go
Cat
there or
shelters.
Cat shelters.
Let's focus on the positive. Let's do the cat shelters. And we had Hildegard, you know, sharing information consciousness, moving out of denial, becoming more authentic. So, in the space of the time that I have left, we can kind of move through the progression. Obviously, December 21st is coming up. There's a much higher significance behind this. Depending on the source that you follow and the source that you believe, we don't really know exactly, you know, to the day what's going to transpire or when it is going to transpire.
So we don't know it's exactly going to be December 21st, you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
So it essentially has started back about 25 years ago with what was called the harmonic convergence.
Okay.
And from that period of time, there were specific portals that occurred more specifically on the 888, September 8th, 2008, October 8th, 2008, September 9th, 2009, October 10th, 2010, November 11th, 2011, now December 12th, 2012. So each portal was meant to facilitate a shift in the consciousness that has been moving us through much of what we are now experiencing. And we are seeing now the collapse of many of our institutions based on the awakening that has been taking place in terms of not only a human consciousness, but also in terms of a planetary shift in consciousness. To bring in the more galactic perspective, our galactic family perspective, it has been said, and the listener and the viewer, please take with whatever is meaningful to you and leave whatever is not meaningful. But it has been said that there was a time when Gaia, the conscious, sentient, energetic system that is our planet Gaia, sent a call out for help because humanity had been making decisions to kill her and destroy her. She was no longer at a space where she could restore herself. So we were very close to enacting a timeline where Gaia would say, humanity, that's it. I'm not playing the game anymore. We're just going to let things transpire, and it could have been the destruction of the planet, the removal of humanity. So Gaia sent out the message for help, and help came in the form of the galactic families, a number of galactic families. Hildegard has talked about her connection with the Andromedan family. There are a number of different families that are out there, some of which are the Sirian, the Pleiadian, the Arcturian, the Hathors, the Taisetian, Setians,
yes.
and the like. There are others. Some of them are, all the ones that are acting around now are more benevolent. The ones that have not been benevolent are in the process of being removed from positions of control
Like
upon
the
the
Greys?
planet. The Greys, the reptilians that have been acting.
Command?
Ashtar Command is, from what I understand, for all intents and purposes, is working for the light. I cannot say 100%, but that's what I believe.
Obama?
So,
All right.
Obama is working of the light.
Okay.
Really?
So he is here to fulfill a very specific mission at this time. He's had to play a very sensitive game of keeping friends close but enemies closer. So when he was first elected in 2008, he could not do the things that he wanted to do originally. And many of his good pieces of legislation have been watered down and destroyed by the cabal, and they've been they've been trying to turn the legislation around on him.
Can you just quickly say what the cabal is, Jeffrey?
Sorry, when I talk about the cabal, I'm referring to a group of individuals that have not yet fully awakened to who they are at this point in time. I'm not saying that they are bad. I don't want to say that they are evil.
Reptilian, shape-shifting, alien hybrids.
You've got that down to a fine art. Wow. So that has been part of it, allegedly. So Obama has had to do a fine walking. He's playing a masterful chess game. That's probably the best way to enact it. And he has not been able to do certain things until more recently, until he could consolidate his network of people within the Pentagon, within the White House, and also globally around the world.
Is he aware of what his purpose is?
I'm told he is.
Okay.
I am told he is in contact with a number of our galactic families. He is aware of the ascension timeline that we are on at this time. I personally have had 5 dreams, 6 maybe, in the last month involving Obama.
Okay.
And I've been told that I am working with him at a higher etheric level to facilitate disclosure of our galactic families.
Okay.
In one dream, I said to Obama, just as he was being pulled away from me, we were in a meeting and he was being pulled away, I said to him, "You've got to do something. You are the disclosure president." And just as he was being pulled away, he looked at me and he said, "You and I are going to speak further on this." So a few of my friends who are more connected were saying, "Whoa, this is kind of interesting." And for me, it was kind of, "Whoa, this is interesting." So anyway, he knows what he is doing. And some of the legislation that he has been enacting recently appears to be against the people. And the cabal, the group, the banking cabal, the religious cabal, the Israeli lobby, those who have been involved in all of this, they are trying to turn things around into fear. They are desperately trying to create fear. The shooting in Connecticut, the shooting in Colorado were both fear-mongered activities. Information is coming out now. If you look at the alternative news sources and do not believe the mainstream media, the fathers of the 2 shooters were supposed to be in the LIBOR banking inquiry. They were supposed to testify for the LIBOR banking inquiry. Now, what people may not know is that there is an inquiry coming out now to expose the entire banking industry for the fraud that it has been. So our current economic model has been based on debt. It is, it's called the fractional reserve model of banking, and it thrives on debt, and it is now being exposed as criminally fraudulent. The banks are being shown to be manipulating the interest rates, and all of this is starting to come out. And this could go into the alternate economy, which I may talk about momentarily.
Okay.
So these people, the fathers, were apparently supposed to testify at this inquiry, and as a result, an event was allegedly doctored to put people more into fear. The Connecticut one being the more recent one, perhaps to get people into fear. The cabal knows that its time has run out, and they have cut down, the timelines have all been cut down apparently, so that there is only one timeline, and that is that the light wins. The dark is done, apparently.
Okay, so if they know they're done, Jeffrey, why do they keep trying? Why don't they just give up and wave their flag?
Well, I guess we could really only ask them that to know for sure.
Because they know they're done, right?
In theory, they know they're done.
Okay.
At a higher level, it could be one of 2 things. One is that they just do not want to awaken. For whatever, no matter how hopeless, no matter how desperate, they just will not accept the alternative. So they're just they're going on basically cruise control. They're only doing the only thing that they know. Automatic pilot.
Okay.
The other aspect is that they know what is going to happen. They're trying to hold it off, but a part of them is desperately wanting to break through and make the connection and help. And we are beginning to see shifts, people coming forward, whistleblowers and the like.
Okay.
But every soul at a higher level has a contracted purpose. And for whatever reason, some of these souls may have agreed to hold out until the very last moment in order that the humanity that is now beginning to awaken, they could have that experience of awakening. So they've needed to play a very specific role so that the humanity that is only now beginning to awaken has the chance to connect to it and
we should be
experience it.
grateful to them.
Absolutely. At a much higher level, we should be very grateful that the angels who played these roles, they were actually very courageous to come into these roles to lower their vibration, to come and give humanity the experience of itself as being divine creators in every sense of the word. So it's a stretch for many people to be able to say, well, is George Bush an angel? Is Stephen Harper an angel? You know, are the worst leaders among us, are they angels? And arguably you could say yes, they are angels, because they have come into our lives to reflect back to us the essence of who we are and to give us the opportunity to choose who we want to be in each moment of now.
Well, that's an amazing realization to have.
So in that sense, it steps into that space that I think Jeff was talking about earlier, you know, being able to forgive, being able to let go, to see that higher connection.
Yes, yes.
And to understand the role that they were meant to play for all of humanity. So to bring it all back, maybe we'll just switch over to the other camera here.
Let's look at the slide here, because we have some illustrations.
Just to help people grasp the concept, first of all, of the Mayan long count calendar. Now again, this is just one sample of the size.
No, it's good, it's good. Crooked is good.
So, and I'm not an expert.
Straight. If you're seeing this as crooked, you have to tilt your head.
No, it's good, it's good. Just carry on there, Jeffrey,
okay.
please.
All right, so I will be the first to admit that I am not an expert on the Mayan calendar, so don't take everything that I'm saying as God's truth, but use this as a reference to do your own research. From what I think I know up to this moment of now, there's the period of time in the Mayan language this is kind of the Mayan date as it is right now, on December 20th, it was 12.19.19.17.19.
Okay.
And according to the various cycles in the Mayan calendar, you have a period of Baktuns, which, so a period of Baktuns, which consists of 20 Katuns, and this is a period of 144,000 days. Okay. And then you have the Katuns, which consists of 20 Tuns, and this is a period of 7,200 days. Okay. Then you have the Tuns, which consists of 18 Vinals, and that's 360 days. Then a Vinal, 20 Kin, 20 days, and 1. What we are moving towards at this point in time is on December 21st, the calendar, just like on New Year's Day, it goes to 1-1 and the next day. We are apparently going to be moving to the shift where it will become 13.0.0.0.0. Depending on the source that you believe, based on the calculations that you follow, that shift could be happening. It could have already happened. It could happen on December 21st. It might happen a few days after. The source that I took this from, Sheldon Neidel, in a recent webinar of his, he seems to feel, based on his calculations, that it will occur around December 23rd.
Okay.
Regardless of what scientific calculations or mathematical calculations you follow, the end result is certain anyway. We are going to experience it, regardless of whether it has already happened, whether it's on December 21st, whether it's on December 21st. It is a surety. It is a definite. We are experiencing it. So what exactly will happen on December 21st? Some people are talking about the end of the world scenario, or the birth of a new age golden civilization. I would say it's both, because we are witnessing the end of the world as we currently know it.
Okay.
So everything that we have experienced in the past is in the process of shifting and morphing, and it's moving into a higher space of consciousness.
Do we have any, just before you move on, do we have any information from on the Mayan calendar, because that's the long count calendar, do we have anything beyond 13,000? What's after Baktun?
I cannot tell you that.
Do we even, is it even known out there?
It's not known to me.
Okay.
It's not known to me. I'm not saying it isn't known, but it's not known to me.
Okay.
So it's very possible that we are, there might even be a larger galactic cycle that they weren't aware of. We don't really know for sure.
There's got to be something after that.
So as, let me see if I can move up slides here. We are in the process, our galactic universe. You know, you might imagine the galactic sun being in the middle. This has been kind of the galactic equator, and our solar system is moving across the galactic equator at this point in time. And it is believed that the point when we come most in alignment with the galactic equator, there's going to be that moment where the light from the galactic sun has the greatest opportunity to penetrate through to the Earth. How can I explain that?
Is that when we get the 12-strand DNA?
That could be when it is activated. That could be the beginning process of where the 12-strand DNA begins to get its activation. Some may have already, I'm not an expert on that, some may have already begun experiencing that. Many of the sacred sites around the world have very specific geometry to it and architecture. I'm going to put this up for a moment. And I realize this may, or let's see if
it's working.
All right, you can see it.
Okay. I drew this representation of one sacred site called Newgrange in Ireland. The entrance into the cavern at Newgrange consists of a zigzag pattern. And from what I think I know, or from what I remember being told to me, on December 21st of every year, the sun is in an exact position where the light can actually penetrate right through that very narrow line of the zigzag. They've got it measured exactly to the point where the light can penetrate that zigzag and fill the cavern with the light.
Wow.
My feeling, again, what I think I know and what I am feeling is that on December 21st of this year, we are going to experience something similar to that. We are going to have that one precise moment where the energy can come from the galactic sun and penetrate all through the veils to actually hit our solar system, hit our planet, and to help facilitate the energetic awakening. Will this be sudden or will it be gradual? My feeling is, and again, I'm not asking any listener or viewer to take my word on it, my feeling is it will be a bit of both. Some people will experience this shift on very profound cellular level. They will experience a shift in very profound ways suddenly. For others, it might be a bit more gradual. This could be dependent upon their soul contracts and what they have agreed to in this moment of now. So it's all of this is facilitating the collapse of everything that's occurring in the world at the moment. And when I use the word collapse, I'm not meaning that in a negative way. I don't wish to create a fear-based perception here, because what we are moving towards is a very higher shift in consciousness of planetary existence. And this awakening is going to open up the truth in the banking industry, the truth in the legal system, the truth about the admiralty system of law and how we've been held in enslavement, how we've been held in debt. And all of this needs to come into full awareness in order for people to step into the consciousness of having a choice. In other words, you have to be able to see the information in order to make the most accurate choice.
Choice of fear over love? Is that what we're talking about?
Over fear, over love, of fifth dimension, over third dimension, over...
Or love over fear.
Yeah, basically. So, and that's the space that we are moving towards at this particular time.
Do you know anything? Yes, I do. You're sensing I have a question. Do you know anything about the 3 days of darkness that they talk about?
I have heard of it. There have been a number of theories put forth. One is that on December 21st, the sun actually sits at that degree of latitude for 3 days.
Okay.
Before beginning its migration northbound again.
Okay.
Or northbound relative to our perspective.
Okay.
And being the shortest day of the year, there could be an aspect of darkness. There was talk about something moving in front of the sun, between the earth and the sun. There was talk of the cabal being shut down in the States, the satellites going dark in order to prevent the cabal from fleeing the U.S.
Does that mean no internet communication?
For a period of 3 days.
Okay.
So they were talking about a 72-hour period of darkness that would prevent the cabal from being able to escape, and that they would be in the process of rounding up. I honestly don't feel anything like that is going to happen. However, I cannot say 100%. Okay. And I certainly allow everyone to have their own feelings about that, and whatever feelings you do have, I highly encourage people to honor those feelings ahead of anything I say. You always have to trust your higher self. Oops, I just tapped the microphone. listeners just
You
got
might
that
as well
tap there.
hire your higher self,
So
Jeffrey.
yeah, so you have to be able to connect always and use your own higher discernment. Some information will be meaningful to you in a current moment of now. Other information will not be meaningful to you in a current moment of now, but next week it might become meaningful. So in the space of simply allowing yourself to be, just let whatever information is meaningful sit with you. Whatever information is not meaningful, push it aside until a time comes, if a time comes, where it does become meaningful to you. And that really is key for everyone. You know, with my newscast, I tell people not to believe everything I say. I do the best that I can do to share the news in an alternative way with a galactic and spiritual perspective.
Did you tell your listeners about your talk with Obama?
So, no, I guess I haven't. Well, I was talking about, I've had about 6 dreams, I think 5, maybe 6 dreams involving Obama in the last month.
Yeah.
And I've been told that at a higher etheric level, I am working with Obama on the issue of disclosure.
Did you tell your viewers that?
So,
on your radio show?
I can't remember if I've mentioned it on the newscast or not. I may have at some point, but you know, so we'll see.
If you have any of his security team listening to your show,
well, they know where to find me. I'm told, I have been told that he is aware of my newscast. I don't know. I don't know if he can listen to it regularly, but I am told that he has been made aware of it.
And your newscast is called Cosmic Vision News.
Cosmic Vision News, yes.
Okay.
So I try to focus on bringing in the revelations of the banking industry, the legal system. I offer health stories. I offer technology stories. The idea is to try and introduce our galactic families to the people of Earth and to let them know that the changes that are happening really are positive. There is nothing to fear, although some of the changes will represent a challenge. It's the same, the best way to put it is when you start a new job, you're going through a certain period of discomfort. You're going through that learning curve of adjusting your lifestyle. You know, it might take half an hour extra to commute to work, so you have to rearrange your lifestyle and you know, learn to balance this, learn to balance that, learning your new job, learning how to do that. We are in the process of learning how to become 5-dimensional galactic citizens. And that is going to be a huge shake for a lot of people. Those who are already in tune with that, those who are stepping into this awareness, are better able to connect with those who are in the process of awakening at this time, and to help facilitate that shift and transformation. Ideally, we want to move towards finding our purpose, our truth, and our meaning of why we are here. And many people are having trouble doing that at this time. We're getting caught up in the games of debt. We're getting caught up into fear. We're getting caught up into separation. We're caught up in the illusions of race, religion, culture, gender, orientation, political belief. And as we move beyond all of the stories that we've created, we can begin to realign ourselves to our life path. Now, let's see if I can just quickly...
Nice little MacBook.
He's got the same kind of computer that time traveler in that video had.
Oh.
I am from the year 2075. Just like a continuum, whatever the year was. So when we were born, I choose to believe, many resonate with this, some may not, but I choose to believe when we were born, we made an agreement to come here to experience certain aspects of ourself. And given the ideal scenario, this is probably what we would have experienced. But what's the sense in living? If you came here just to have that ideal life.
Just to let you know, my arrow wouldn't have been straight.
Well, that's what we're.
Mine was like, it was more like that zigzag in that Ireland picture, okay? Except even more awry than that. Wouldn't you say that, Hugh?
Oh,
hang
yes.
on one moment. Now, I know I'm going to have to do this kind of quickly, so I know I'll have to do this kind of quickly. But given the ideal circumstance, if you were born and had your ideal life, you would immediately go back home because there would have been nothing to experience. So the illusion of life is to go through and try and find your way to this ideal path, but you go through the process of the illusion of separation. Now, maybe when you were young, your parents might have said that they want you to learn sports instead of music. You really wanted to learn music, but your parents said, we want you to be in the macho crowd, we want you to have access to all this. So they start pushing you off your life path, and you start feeling uncomfortable.
That's looking more appropriate.
And if you were to continue on that aspect, notice how far off your life path you would be by the time you finish your life. You would have been totally unhappy, totally away from your reason for being when you came here. So somewhere along the way, you may have hit a crisis point to make a change, and you begin finding your way back. And you might also come across another experience that tempts you away again. If you were to continue, you would come back to your life path, but life continues to create these little obstacles for you and the choices that you have to make. So the process is of going through your life, of making positive choices or negative choices that pull you on and off your life path. So at a certain point, however, you might hit a breaking point. So up here, you've come a little bit closer to your life path, but you're still off. And you may reach a point where you hit rock bottom. And this is usually the point, for example, when alcoholics or some form of addict will just hit rock bottom. And they will say, I'm done. I surrender. I need help. Please help me. And that's usually when divine intervention begins, or for those of you who have watched Touched by an Angel, Monica and Tess will appear at that moment and make their presence known to you. So this might represent the point where you hit rock bottom, actually. So you begin going off the deep end, and you start totally moving away from your life path. And of course, if you were to continue on that path, it could lead to some very disastrous, maybe suicide, maybe something else. So the intervention begins to occur. And in that space of beginning to find your way back, you're going to fall off a few times. So you may do a process of zigzagging, you know, as you go through Alcoholics Anonymous or Addicts Anonymous or whatever. Your help will guide you. You might fall off a bit. They'll help you back. You'll fall off. They'll help you back. But eventually, you know, as you stick true to yourself, you begin coming back and connecting. So at that point, maybe the individual finally realized, I want to do music. And at that point in time, the individual has risen up from rock bottom, has begun playing music, has begun honoring his or her life path, and that in turn brings the individual back. Now, had the individual awoken down here, it's very possible that there would have been nothing further to experience in life. So the individual may have died in order to return home. But there was a reason for all of these steps for the individual to participate in as we move through the process of awakening.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. What would the law of attraction have to do with this? Because the reason I want to ask that is because a lot of people say no matter what I do, I can't attract that.
Well, whatever they say they cannot attract.
Yeah, so how does the law of attraction fit into this, or does it even fit into this?
I would say it does fit into this.
Okay.
Because in theory, whatever mind space you happen to be, you are going to be bringing into your world that particular experience. For example, let's make it a bit more realistic up here. You're maybe in your midlife crisis. You're beginning to hit rock bottom. But if you are an addict going through all of your problems, trying to find happiness within the space of being an addict, you might be meeting people along this life path that don't wholly resonate with who you are. So in your space of being unhappy with yourself, you might be looking for happiness externally and connecting with people along this path, but they cannot help you because you yourself have not found your life path.
Okay. So with the law of attraction, if it's not in alignment with your life path, will you not get it?
If it's not in alignment with your life, will you not get it?
Because they talk a lot about being in alignment, right? And so if you're wanting to go for something that is not in alignment with who you are or with your life path, why you came here, will you still attract it?
Free will always allow that.
Okay.
So as creator gods and goddesses, we all have the free will. So we are allowed to a certain extent now free will. Now, having said that, I will emphasize that the free will of Gaia has now been given precedence over the free will of humanity. So Gaia's ascension or movement into the higher vibration has been assured, apparently. The question is whether or not humanity chooses to embrace its awakened awareness to move with humanity. What we are experiencing is apparently unique. No planet and civilization has allegedly ever been allowed to ascend together. This is apparently the first time a civilization and a planet.
Even in the Atlantean times and Lemurian times?
Allegedly.
Okay.
Allegedly. No other, when the Andromedans went through their ascension process, apparently it was not like this. The same with the Syrians, the same with the Pleiadians.
They had it easy, I heard.
Well,
Hildegard, you had it easy.
Relative.
That's why I'm back, she says.
to help move right through this one. So to varying degrees, we do still have free will.
Okay.
But I have a feeling that to a certain degree it's going to be limited. For example, if someone had the control over the nuclear weapons, for example, he or she might have the free will choice to push the button to activate the nuclear weapons, but because Gaia's free will has now been given the priority, the galactics now have the authority, our galactic families now have the authority to intervene and stop the weapons from being activated. And this, a number of sources, military sources and otherwise, have now begun coming forth to say that they are witnessing the deactivation of weapons worldwide.
Wow.
So
by unexplained sources.
By unexplained sources from our galactic families and the like. So this information is slowly making its way into mainstream human consciousness. My show seeks to help further that awareness to the degree that I'm able to. Okay. The cabal, the mainstream media, is deathly afraid of truth like this getting out, because what it essentially means is the end of the power of control for the cabal and the leaderships.
Any threats? Have you gotten anything?
Not direct. No, I've had people who have put me down, have criticized me, and have tried to make me wrong. I have not, received any direct threats to varying degrees, and in all honesty, I'm not terribly worried about that. I'm doing what I do just because I know that this is what has to be done at this point in time. So
this is your life path.
Yes. And I have come across a source recently who has indicated a desire to create a media network that could involve my newscast.
Nice.
We'll see what happens. Now, having said that, we're shifting now into what's happening in the world. Hugh, any questions? Are you totally with me?
She's just looking for more wine.
It's like I need help here.
I just want to know what's going to happen in 3 days, Jeffrey. No. Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I want to know. What's going to happen in 3 days?
There will be a fourth day.
No, please continue. But we don't have a lot of time, Jeffrey, but I do want you to.
Okay, let's see how.
That clock won't help us.
That clock doesn't help. Okay.
There is no such thing as time.
Okay, let's see. Is there anything else I really needed to share here? This may or may not be relevant. Let's see.
Nice computer. I really like that.
Can I?
It's from the future.
Wow, 2075. Nice.
Okay. Okay. I'll just touch on this very quickly because it involves kind of the shifts that are taking place. We're seeing the banking industry being exposed as criminally fraudulent. We're beginning to see the legal system, the system of admiralty law, being exposed as criminally fraudulent. You are a commercial entity. And if you are giving your signature to any document that has your name in capital letters, you are essentially telling the government that you consent to being a commercial entity within the system of admiralty law. And when you hand a driver's license over to a police officer, you are subconsciously entering into a contract with the police officer to say, yes, I agree to the Highway Traffic Act, and in the choice to hand over your license, the officer can issue you a ticket. I don't have time to go into all the ethics and all the background of how you can begin to defend yourself. There is the Free Man on the Land, where you can begin to research. There's an organization called the World Service Authority, where you can apply for a world passport.
You know what else? There's a network marketing company now that's dealing with this. It's called Freedom USA or something like that, and they're in Canada. I can give you their
Freedom
card.
USA in Canada. Gotta
Well,
love
you
that.
Well,
What's wrong
we're
with
going to
this
be
picture?
removing borders anyway, right? We're going to be removing borders.
Eventually, that's where we're moving towards, yes.
But first, we have to arm the border guards.
Okay, wait a second. How about the FEMA camps?
FEMA camps,
Are they a thing
okay.
of the past now? Are they the old energy?
My feeling, I know that the cabal built them with the intention of housing the masses. I have a feeling when Obama signed the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, if I remember correctly, the public went into an outrage because they saw it as the act by which martial law could be implemented and the people would be thrown into FEMA camps. That was originally what the cabal wanted. I'm feeling something different. I have a feeling that Obama signed that legislation, allowing the cabal to think that it would be used against the masses, but that is the legal framework by which Obama can begin to incarcerate the members of the cabal. So I have a feeling that the legal framework of the NDAA will actually be turned around onto the cabal, where they may become imprisoned or held until whatever help they can receive to awaken to their light or to return to service, to remembering their full consciousness.
And that leaves the coffins free.
So the coffins
For
will be
cat
free.
shelters.
And,
Yes.
so
that's really moving to 5D.
So the 5D is that they will probably be donating those to anybody who wants to use them. So cat shelters go nuts.
Toronto
Cat lovers
Humane
unite.
Society, get busy.
We're looking for more
Get your
volunteers.
requests in.
Yes.
So in light of all that's awakening, how can one individual begin to step into the process of the change? And I don't remember who it was who was talking about earlier, whether it was Hildegard or whether it was Tamara, but I think it was Tamara, allowing yourself to move in flow with the contractions of the change that are taking place at this time.
Did.
So when you are feeling the conflict at this time, and many of us are feeling conflict energetically. I admit I've been feeling some conflict energetically, and a number of people. It's coming up. Energies are coming up for healing and balance at this time. So in learning to go with the flow, to feel the contractions, to step into yourself and begin to find your awareness and consciousness. Now again, I'll ask to switch over to the computer screen here for a moment. There are many ways an individual can begin his or her process of awakening, and it depends upon his or her aptitudes. In other words, if you are drawn to music, music might be your vehicle by which your awakening could be facilitated. It might be some other truth. It could be sports. It could be cat shelters. However one feels called to serve in any capacity. I've just listed a few examples here. So this is by no means a final list. It's just an example. Some people may be drawn to the energetic, spiritual aspect of finding a connection or relationship to life. Life, in my work, means everything, the all that is. Physical, non-physical, visible, and invisible. Some people may be drawn to the mental and the sensory disciplines. So that could be psychic, auras, healing, transcendental meditation, and the like. People may be drawn to the physical disciplines, Qigong, Tai Chi, and meditation. Some may be drawn to the more creative disciplines, visual, kinetic, audio, and social. I saw, that's where the bottle of wine was hidden. Okay. So from the space of every individual, you find whatever discipline is most relevant to you in the current moment of now, and that becomes your tool for awakening to your being. That becomes your journey to awaken to the whole sense of the oneness, what your role is to be within the oneness of life. So you need to first of all find your truth, the path, the vehicle, the tool that will allow you to connect to the oneness of life, to begin to find that relation and where you can begin to find your service to life. And when you begin to connect through your own self-love, through your own resonance to life, through your own discipline and tools, you find that new relation. You find that you are the uniquely different but equally beautiful individual within the oneness of life, and can begin to step into that space of service to the rest of the planet. So you move down into the bottom part of the matrix. This becomes the focus on being. Up here, we're focusing on learning to be. Down here, we're stepping into the actual being of your truth. And that can be fulfilled in any one of a number of capacities. At the bottom, I've created a 5-step series of what I feel what I feel, I'm not saying it is, it's just what I feel, to be the step-by-step plan for the recreation of heaven on earth, or the fifth dimensional reality. I looked at the highest possible goal of what we want to experience and said, what would a fifth dimensional reality look like? What would we be experiencing? And I put down that we would be having choices, beliefs, values, love, and being. In other words, everything that we do is at the highest level of service to the oneness of life. So what has to happen first in order to hit this particular space of being? Then I came up with this, the recreation of the quality of life. And this means food, it means personal security, well-being, happiness, and others. In other words, people will not be willing to awaken to the fifth dimensional reality at least until they know that their basic necessities of life have been met, that they have good food, that they have water, that they have clean air, that the basic necessities are present.
Basic needs equals basic rights.
Correct. So when those have been met, people can begin to relax and say, okay, now I feel like I can be a bit more loving, or I feel I can share a bit more. In the ideal world, this would not be necessary. In a fifth dimensional reality, this just wouldn't happen. It would already be. However, we have to go through this shift. So that would have to happen first. Then I asked the question again, what has to happen first before this can actually occur? And then what I found was the recreation of religion, family, culture, gender, orientation, language. In other words, we have to remove all the barriers of separation, so that we are no longer hoarding our wealth based on religious preference or gender or whatever else that we have created.
Even geographical borders.
Exactly, yep, political borders and the like. When we eliminate the fear of separation, we are more willing to share with others. And when we are more willing to share with others, everybody begins to experience the abundance of food, the abundance of water, the abundance of clean air. Everybody begins to move into service. So before you can begin to remove those barriers of fear, what has to happen first? Then we went into the recreation of the legal penal system, the recreation of the judicial system, the education, recreation of the environment, the economy, manufacturing, and energy. We have to shift our focus to all the structures in our world at present that have been forced to be limiting. And for example, in terms of energy, the coal, the oil industry, they have been given preference over the free energy. So there is in the process of the structured economy, certain professions, certain industries have been given the preference over everything else, and those industries and professions have been given the greater control over humanity. The pharmaceutical industry, the medical profession fails on its Hippocratic oath on a daily basis. They just do not serve people's health at all when they prescribe pharmaceutical drugs. So, awakening, that is beginning to happen now. People are realizing that the economy is in a shambles, that the fractional reserve model of banking no longer works. Something has to happen. We have an alliance of countries that are now beginning to introduce the new economy. And this is beginning to take place. There is a nation of countries called the BRICS Alliance. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa have apparently signed agreements with about 140 to 150 other countries ready to implement a new economic model that is based on gold as being the backer for the currency. There is a protocol called the Basel III agreement that is in the process of being implemented worldwide. That allegedly will be introduced on January 1st. All the banks will then have to be compliant. The Basel III Accord basically means that gold is elevated from a Tier 3 commodity up to a Tier 1 commodity. And when gold was removed back in the 30s, if I remember correctly, when the Federal Reserve was hijacked by the banking cabal, the gold standard was removed from the economic model. And what was implemented was a series of Basel Protocols 1 and 2, which basically allowed all this junk that we are now experiencing, derivatives, all the stuff that I really don't know much about. However, what the Basel III Protocol does is it restores gold to the level of money. So it has the same value as money. It is now becoming the functional base for the new economy. So we are beginning to, and we'll switch back over to the graph here, we are beginning to see shifts taking place. In the economic models, we're beginning to see free energy devices coming out. People are starting to begin to question the legal and the judicial systems and begin questioning politicians and the like, which can in turn lead to shifts in government that will facilitate the changes of removing the fear and the barriers, which can begin to introduce the technologies that will restore food and clean air and clean water, which will facilitate the full and comfortable shift to the fifth dimensional reality. So what has to happen first before all of that? It comes down to it, the recreation of government, the recreation of religion, the recreation of our corporate and business practices. When we step into that awareness where we begin to hold those three institutions accountable to what they have been responsible to the world, we can begin to facilitate each change. And that's where you, as the individual in your space of awakening, you may choose to serve in any one of these 5 capacities to help facilitate the shift. There are individuals who are already living at this particular level of awareness. Our galactic families, there are a few people who are awake and practicing the living of love and being. There are those who are at this level, there are those at this level, but the whole idea is to manifest the shift collectively, and everything that's happening at this time, December 21st, is a stepping stone towards that.
It all starts in 3 days.
Wow, that was wonderful, Jeffrey. Thank you so much. That was excellent.
So I hope that's kind of a summary as to how things are progressing. I'm just quickly checking my notes here. So
now, do you have a website or something, Jeffrey, where people can get in touch and certainly for the radio show,
yeah.
right?
My website is greenprint4life.org.
4 is a number 4, right?
4 is in F-O-R.
Oh.
So greenprint4, F-O-R-L-I-F-E.org. So people can go there for the essence of my work. There is a link also to the page for Cosmic Vision News. Cosmic Vision News is heard on Friday evenings on Blog Talk Radio at 7 p.m. I will be doing a special December 21st show on Friday. So I'm hoping that some channels that I have sent messages to, I hope these channels will offer messages from our galactic celestial families. Whatever is supposed to unfold in the banking industry, I have heard, again, I don't say ifs, ands, or buts, but apparently there is a lot of moving and shaking taking place within the financial structures at this time. There could possibly be some announcements of change coming.
Is there any truth to that rumor about the members of the galactic families bringing those spaceships filled with cash?
I don't think so.
I just want to know.
We already
because
have
think
cash
about it.
here.
Look at all the
Why
money.
do we need more?
No,
We
we owe
already
trillions.
You wanted to know about Neil Keenan.
Yes,
I
did. Yes.
David Wilcock just posted on his website some photos of some underground bunkers in Asia showing pallet after pallet after pallet after pallet after pallet of currency notes, but also bars of gold. A number of caches of gold and of currencies have apparently been packed away for whatever periods of time by sources known as the sacred societies. Now, there are some that are known as the white dragons, there are some known as the green dragons, the red dragons. There is apparently funds called the Saint Germain World Trust Fund. There is the Kuan Yin Trust Fund.
Okay.
And what is apparently supposed to happen is that there will be, at a designated point in time when the cabal has been sufficiently neutralized, certain projects will be initiated. And I have now been connected to an individual who is apparently a custodian of some of this wealth. And he wants to start investing in projects that will shift the world. And one of them is a media network.
Okay.
So when that time comes, those projects will be initiated, funds will be released. And I don't exactly know how, but apparently it's going to be happening in a fairly near coming moment of now. That could happen. There's been talk that a revaluation of the Iraqi dinar has already taken place for those who have purchased Iraqi dinar. It could be announced on December 24th, which is a banking holiday here, but is a regular business day in Iraq. We'll see what happens. I do not wish to say yes or no to anything.
Is that what Neil is talking about, you think?
It's possible.
Okay.
Again, I don't know enough. I do not wholly resonate with everything Neil says.
Okay.
But at the same time, I don't resonate wholly with everything that anybody says, and I don't want people to resonate with everything I say either. So again, it's part of that discernment. It's part of staying enough in your grounding to be consciously aware of the change that's happening, but not to be totally closed-minded, to shut yourself off from it, but at the same time, don't be so gullible as to believe everything.
Okay.
So money's not going to fall from the sky.
Well, no, it'll be beamed down.
It might be figurative.
Oh,
It might be kind of
Actually,
figurative.
where do you think they got those pallets from? It's probably from the spacecraft.
Yeah, but see, if they we would have felt those. That would hurt.
No, they're beaming it down. You just don't stay out of the transporter room. Okay, Jeffrey, thanks for doing this. Steve, thanks for coming on the show. Thank you, Sandra, for doing this. This is the last show of the age of the year.
Oh my God.
Okay, so we're going to say goodbye. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we're going to continue the party here now as we get ready for 2013. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you next year.
Blessings be.